Okay. It's live. Yeah, ever just sit down and go, fuck it, I'm going to do a live stream. I'm just going to go sit down and broadcast. I have been a busy beaver. I've been all over. I've been learning a new technology, a new skill called TikTok. Uh, and oh my goodness, I think I'm going to be okay over there because there are so many. TikTok is like how Facebook used to be back in the day. You have people interacting with each other and making videos and making money and doing all kind of stuff. And now, but you have to trick the algorithm into showing your stuff to other people. Whereas apparently, like on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, you can't trick the algorithm if you've been naughty. If you talked about stuff like this, they're never going to let you back in because you'll talk about it again. Here, and this is the thing too, on Facebook, I have a lot more free speech than here on the tubes. Um, and it's a little annoying, actually. The idea that we don't have the ability to just speak. Speaking of just speaking, you know who is just speaking? The Hands Off Crew. I'm so enjoying the fact that these people are sofa king stupid. They're not just stupid, but sofa king. Did you know? Do you know the sofa king? Anyway, he sells good couches. But the idea is that they have continued to use their free speech. Hands off. They found millions of fraudulent Social Security numbers set to max, and somehow the Democrats can't see that. There was never a time when anybody talked about cutting Social Security. Never. But what they've done is taken the fraudulent numbers, and those people aren't going to get paid anymore. Which there's more money for the people that are actually, U.S. citizens who have paid in. But if you take a good look at Social Security, there have already been court cases because the pirates have absolutely made their piracy legal. It may not be lawful, but they have paperwork that says, yeah, you put the money in, but it's not like it's your account or anything. And it's not like you own the funds. We own the funds. And then we give them back to you, maybe as time goes by. But the idea that it's your money, no. And there's Supreme Court cases. Well, I don't know if there's Supreme Court cases, and I could look them up. But there are cases wherein you can see that they ruled, courts have ruled that it's not your money. It's not like it's not like it's your property. And see, that was the thing. They call it property. No, it's the government's property. You gave it to the government. Well, technically, you didn't give it to the government, did you? They kind of took it from you, and you didn't have an option or any way out. So I don't know. That doesn't seem fair, but the ruling is there that it's their money. Okay. And they're giving it out to you out of their largesse, they're giving your money back out of the kindness of their hearts because they stole it fair and square. But there was never a time when they said, "No, we're going to cut benefits to the people that have paid in and so forth." No, they're going to cut benefits to the border crossers who got. Okay, so they had to show up in court. We saw this, right? They get picked up for being "quote unquote" illegal. And this is the other thing. I was on what is it, Twitter or X, and people trying to say, oh, they have no rights. Yes, they absolutely do have rights. They're called unalienable God-given rights. It's not just Americans that have unalienable God-given rights, and it certainly isn't U.S. citizens, but Mexicans have unalienable God-given rights. Canadians. If you're a man on the planet, somewhere on this, in this, how should we call it, a geosphere? Because trying to call it a globe might not be correct. But the idea is that if you're here, you have unalienable rights, right? Unalienable and unalienable rights. They cannot alienate your rights. But you can waive them if you like. And these people never waived their rights. So it gets a little dicey. And see, the whole story now, people are starting to wake up. They couldn't bring it in on the left, so they brought it in on the right. What am I talking about? What are they bringing in? They're bringing in a new world order. Simple as that. Look at the back of your $1 bill. It tells you they want a new world order. The old world order, where the peasants actually were being left alone. No, that's over. They want to own everything. And the idea that this other guy isn't, that he's there to be your friend and or your rights are protected. No, he tricked you, or maybe not this crowd. What do we got? Two here. He tricked a large portion of the populace into signing a document. Do I have that here? My son didn't even sign the document, and still, yeah, I don't have it here. I got glorbs of stuff here. Let's see. Okay. And that went to the ground. But yeah, I don't know what to do with that. But the idea is that there is a voter registration around here. But they were coming across the border. They get tagged for coming across the border. They have to go to court. There's a system of bonding that Graves and a bunch of other people won't tell you about. You get bonded when you go to court. And in order to bond you, they need a social security number. So catch and release, right? Now you're bonded. Now you have your social security number. And then they set that social security number to full benefits. And then there are a whole bunch of people that apparently didn't even exist. They were paying the money to nobody. Is that what you're trying to tell me? I don't believe you. Somebody was getting paid and nobody's getting busted. Nobody's going to jail. Billions and billions of fraud by Doge. Nobody goes to jail. Does anybody go? No, nobody goes to jail. So perhaps just maybe it's a show that's going on. And some people have seen now that this show goes all the way to the top. It's reality TV. I have seen some very interesting things about these adversaries that are actors. They are very good at it too. They're illusionists. They're grand illusionists. They make you think one thing when actually it's another. Coming up very shortly, we're on the pink moon tomorrow night, actually. If you go outside right now, I was out there the other night. It was nice and early, and the moon was beautiful and big. It's the pink moon. Okay, so, astrology and astronomy might have something to do with our holidays, maybe, because now that there's a full moon, okay, the first Sunday after the full moon, after the equinox, had to have, or not equinox, it was the vernal equinox that we just had on the 22nd. I'm sorry, got something caught in my throat. Because I'm trying to make videos, of course. And also because I've been talking all day. I've been making math videos all day long. But anyway, the vernal equinox, and then the full moon after the vernal equinox, and then the first Sunday after that full moon, that's Easter Sunday. But the guys that worship the other guys, and the other one, the Baphomet dudette, who is both and neither, that guy, they worship the Baphomet, and it becomes visually obvious now because you see all these different Baphomet worshipers with their sons and daughters who are sons and daughters, but they started out as daughters or sons, and now they're daughters, but they used to be sons, and then right? Okay, so that's the Baphomet right there. And see, don't be too hard on some of these guys because they're born into it or they decide to be part of it, and there's no getting out once you get in. Certain people that are famous tried to get out and they wouldn't let them. Let's put it that way. But the idea is that these people are religious fanatics and they will sacrifice their own. They will sacrifice their own firstborn. Okay. If you don't sacrifice the firstborn, then you have to kind of sort of change the gender to please the Baphomet. I don't know. It's a crazy religion. I don't know all the rules, but the idea is you can see all these different people that have sons and daughters who aren't sons and daughters. And you think, well, that's odd because so many movie stars, because they worship the Baphomet. And the Baphomet is very generous to those who will offer their souls for money. You'll get a lot of money and a lot of fortune, a lot of fame, and a lot of food and all that kind of stuff, whatever you want. Sex, obviously, lots of people, that's one of the things. And then, if you like that part, now they can use that as currency and blackmailing. This is why many of these people will never come out and say anything about, can't say shit if they have a mouthful, because they have a control file, and that control file will ruin them. Okay, the same thing. Why isn't it? You've heard all kinds of machinations and rumblings that there's a certain list that's going to get put out. But it still hasn't been put out, has it? We have a little ways to go. They always have. Well, we've got to sanitize it. Oh, it's national security. Really? So people that traffic children have something to do with national security. That seems problematic to me. And do you remember, way back in September, but do you remember where the Pentagon, there was like this big, see, you can't even mention the words because they're trigger words, and we're keeping everyone safe here on YouTube. It was the Pentagon involved in cheese pizza. Oh wait, that's a euphemism. Do I have some paper here I can write on? You know what it is. Anyway, on their computers, many of them had despicable things on their computer, and then the story just went away. But there was a time when our media actually reported on some of that. That's all gone now. Are those guys still in the military? What do you think? Did they go away? If you start a war, or if there's war going on, are there orphans? And even if there aren't orphans, can you kidnap someone and their parents will just assume that they were killed, or they've been separated? So, or their parents actually have been killed, and so no one's looking for them. And then you can make products out of them. What kind of products? 100 Monkey? That sounds crazy. Making a product. The product is the child. And a lot of times it's video like this, and you don't want to. Okay. Those guys are the ones that have been paying themselves using the United States corporation, and they've been paying themselves handsomely. Again, you thought that the religion that they wanted to practice freely was Christianity, but it wasn't. It wasn't that. It was something else. Something else entirely and wholly disgusting. And they're being busted for it. It's coming to light. The average person is figure out, wait a minute, there's a lot of children missing. Hold on a second. There's a lot of women missing. There's a lot of Indian women. There's a lot of black women. There's a lot of women missing. See, this is the thing. There's hundreds and hundreds of millions of us right in the North American continent, in between the border we call Mexico and the border we call Canada. There's like 330, we don't even know. There's like 334, 35, maybe 350, we don't know. Somewhere around over 300 million souls in that area. That's a heck of a plantation. Now, and see, you don't think it's a plantation because they tell you that it's not a plantation and that you're free and you get to sing. You get to sing all the time. You get to sing about how brave and free you are. But on the plantation, do the math. If there's 300 million and they just take, say, I don't know, 500,000? 500,000, if it was 100 million, would be 0.5%. Because a million is 1% of 100 million. Okay, so 300 million, you're down to 1/3 of a percent. We don't even notice. You bring it up and people don't even, oh yeah, you're right, so-and-so's missing. Oh yeah, okay. But overall, people don't even notice the fact that there are so many, and then they'll call it, what's their favorite word? And if I use it here, the tubes will put some kind of note below, because there's a couple of videos now you can see that I use the CT term instead of the CP term. And the CT term apparently triggers some algorithm or another. But they've been trained to, that's conspiracy. That's a conspiracy theory. No, that's a conspiracy theory. The government does me. That's why they told me to put this mask on. Is because they love me so much. It's pain. It's pain. On Maui, I wasn't there because I'm here in Phoenix, but I saw a video of guys standing on the side of the road, Kamano Avenue. I know exactly where they were. I drive by it every day, or used to, waving signs, hands off. Our masters told us that you guys are being not, and maybe even dipping into and taking away some of the fraudulent money that they've been laundering. So hands off. Like, it's painful to watch these guys disintegrate. Starting to figure out now. Did you notice? Did you notice somebody lost their security clearance? What did somebody say about this thing that we can't even talk about here because they don't want us talking about the fact that, yeah, maybe it was. Can I use the word? Well, as long as I'm not talking about the thing and I don't mention that thing that starts with an E, and put the two words together, I can probably trick the algorithm. But anyway, the idea is that they stole something. They stole a thing, and people are starting to figure out, yeah, they in fact did steal a thing. The thing was stolen, and everybody that's involved in the thing that was stolen is groveling right now because the guy that they stole it from is now, how shall we say, in power. And I don't think he's very pleased about the fact that, okay, but here's the thing. That's the story. Okay. In reality, we have 1/10, we have one team, and the one team, just think, we've got these guys over here, and they got their followers to think, oh, you can burn stuff and be mostly peaceful. You can destroy property and you can vandalize, and we put all these guys in that won't even prosecute. They won't even give you a charge. Free to go. Get out of here. Okay, those days are over. And now these guys are still doing that kind of stuff. But now there's these guys over here like, yay, we're going to bond you for 20 years. Also, understand, if you toss a Molotov cocktail, that is an act of war. Period. And if and it's supposed to be peacetime, and you throw a Molotov cocktail in a peaceful place where there isn't war going on, the guys that are in power are going to put you away. And see, these guys put you up to it, and these guys are like, yay, because it's a for-profit system where they bond you. And you don't know the difference between the juristic entity, the name of the thing, and the thing that's named. They're not the same. Oh, look, he's rhyming. It's a word game, and in the words of Yusuf L., how are you going to win a word game if you don't know what words mean? I've said it over and over again. You got to know what the words mean. You got to look up the maxims. You got to know some things, because now if you know that the thing named and this other thing, what are you going to do about it, slave? Now what? See, I spent 57 years a slave. If I ever write a book, that's going to be the title of the book, 57 Years of Slave, because it took me 57 years to wake all the rest of the way up. So I've only been free up here for about 4 years. Because before this, I believed just like the other guys that, shut up and pay your taxes, and the markets aren't rigged, and we're free, and we're the good guys, and all that stuff. I believed all that stuff. And then I woke up, and then I woke up a little bit, and then way back in the 90s, when I was still a fairly young man, but I was foolish because I didn't understand. Oh, yeah, the tax doesn't apply to me, but I should have dug a little bit deeper and found out that, wait a minute, they're all corporations. FBI is a corporation with a DUNS number. Apparently, you're not allowed to say that to somebody like the dark journalist, because the dark journalist will call you a troll. But I can show you, and it's not even hidden. They hide nothing from us, that the FBI, DOJ, name them, all of them are private corporations with DUNS numbers. What is their job? Their job is not to investigate. Their job is not justice. Their job is to attorney. Their job is to extract as much wealth from the unsuspecting, trusting children that are called Americans that have been tricked into becoming U.S. citizens, and those U.S. citizens, the ones that they trick, they extract as much wealth, cradle to grave, as they can, without you finally throwing up your hands and having enough and doing this. So they walk a fine line, because there's been a couple of times when it got close, but it's not gonna happen. I'm not even slightly worried about any kind of slave rebellion, and neither are they. You know why? Because we put this on because they told us to put this on, so we put it on, and that makes us safe. That's how they know that there's not going to be a problem. In fact, some of these guys, they did this, and see, I can't talk about it. I could talk about it on Facebook, but I can't talk about it here. Oh wait, somebody, what did you say? Can I zoom? I cannot zoom, and I cannot read. Really? It won't let me zoom, and I don't have. Oh, you know what'll help? Just turn up my screen. Okay, so here, I'll use this thing and see if I can read it now. Well, thanks. Yeah. Wow. Quebec, Canadians. See, and that's the thing. It becomes very clear that the guy, I mean, he's smart, but he's not that smart. And what he's doing is implementing a plan for a bunch of people that they couldn't get in one way, so they're coming a different way. And now they've got the red hats cheering for ICE. Yeah, boo, we don't want to give all that money to Ukraine, but 50 billion to the ISIS raw L guys, not a problem. Look, I'm choking myself. They're our bestest friends and allies in the. They're our absolute allies. And in fact, if you say anything naughty about them, we're gonna kick you out of the country. We're gonna revoke your visa if you got one, and we're gonna kick you out of school if you're over here, because we're not gonna let you say one naughty word about those guys that wear the tiny hats, because that's naughty. You can't do that. Not in Trump's America. Okay, and I hear people. I keep hearing you saying that, oh, it's part of the 5D chess, and they're saving them for last, and I believe they might be saving them for last. But I also believe that they knew. Like, you can't tell me that Mr. High IQ, who never ever showed you a picture, a surgical shot of you never got a surgical shot of the ear. One of the most important wounds of the new century, of the new millennium, and you didn't get a close-up shot. And now there's been a couple of times where they seem to have fucked up without covering it, and people take a picture. Well, that's a miraculous healing. You wouldn't even know. Well, maybe that will give you a wake-up call, and maybe not, because I'm saying right now, that's complete crazy talk. I'm an insane person. That person is insane. Backed up his own. Oops. Yeah. But he's wised up now. But you've been fooled before, and you just got fooled again, and you won't admit it. And rather than have any kind of debate about why doesn't one of you stupid motherfuckers come and tell me why you didn't get a surgical close-up? You did get a story about how he was saved by God to take over the U.S. corporation and bring us to the promised land and the golden era of opportunity, and everything's going to be dandy. Well, maybe everything's not going to be so dandy, and maybe you need to take care of your own and find out about some paperwork that needs to be done. I keep mentioning the fact that there's paperwork that needs to be done. You need to tell some people. I have my boy. They signed him up, like I said, he didn't sign any registration forms, and yet he's registered to vote. If you're registered to vote, you had to sign a document, which he didn't sign, but actually he did, because there's this thing called adhesion, and he's now figuring out that when he signed one form, it went on the other. So anyway, the voter registration says that you're a U.S. citizen. And guess what? U.S. citizens don't get 5-star passports. Now, here's the thing that he had is that he mentioned the fact that all the contracts that he had made as a minor are voidable because he was a minor at the time. And certainly he didn't knowingly and willingly surrender any rights. Further, fraud ab initio. And see, we told a couple of officers that that document that they were relying upon is evidence of fraud. But see, they've codified their fraud because, see, now I'm going to deal soon. I have been fooling around with homeschooling and mathematics for 35 years now. Raised two boys who are off now traveling in Thailand. Last I heard, they were in a monastery. And haven't heard from for a while since because that monastery doesn't have internet. They have no access to the World Wide Web, which is probably a good thing because see, the monks know you don't want Wi-Fi and so forth, and I don't think there's even a place where you can plug it in. But they know that you don't want Wi-Fi if you're meditating. And my one son, the younger boy, actually noticed that when the bells rang, there's a frequency or vibration, literally, that's positive, that's soothing, that's tranquil. So then go back and look, and we find that, in order to support the war effort, we had to take all the bells out of churches and we're going to melt them down because war. Oh, look, a helicopter. The idea is that, because war, all the evidence of what used to be got bombed into smithereens. And then they were able to tell you that what used to be never was. It never happened. Although we have pictures, we can see that there was clearly a world culture where they built the same kind of buildings in Japan as they did in the Americas, as they did in South America, as they did in Europe, like Poland and, behind the Iron Curtain, and in Russia even, and in, a lot of similar architecture. And a lot of similar destroyed architecture. And then, if you look a little bit more, there seems to be, and I knew a guy. He was related to Ulysses S. Grant. I believe his father's grandfather. I don't think it was even that many generations. It was just a few, like a direct descendant of Ulysses S. Grant. Not a brother, not an uncle. It was his great grandfather, I believe it was. Anyway, he told me an interesting story, or several interesting stories, that his father was involved and uncles and friends were involved, and this is in California, in taking certain items, putting them on boats, sailing them off the coast, and then dumping them overboard. Phones and books and all kind of stuff. How true these stories are, I don't know. But I've heard the story numerous times, and that was one time when I was hearing it firsthand, not from a book, not from the internet, but from a guy that had heard, like from me. My grandmother told me stories, and those are direct. His grandfather apparently told him stories, and that would be direct. And what he basically said was that, they've been destroying history, not preserving it, for as long as, since before I was born, since before he was born. That guy was older than me at the time. That was not that long ago, maybe 10 years. But the idea is maybe about 10. Holy cow, it's going by, my friends. I forget how old I am. See, and this is the thing. I start to notice, I was making a video and my arm got in the video, and I noticed, wow, I've got old man skin. This is not the vibrant skin, right? Because the years, they just go by. But the guy behind your eyes, the guy that's driving this device, doesn't notice. I'm the same guy that was running around in Waihee Valley, and now I'm in Phoenix, and there has been decades in between. But those memories and that guy, it's the same guy. But this thing has gotten older, much older. And apparently I'm aging better than some. Let's talk about that for a second. There is this book, or these books, called the Talmud. You should probably read those books. My sons have been digging into the Talmud. Again, they hide nothing. So if you'd bother to read the things, you'd find out that the tiny hats might not be your friends. They might consider you to be subhuman almost. In fact, a monster. Uh, but the idea is that they have many passages, but the one I'm going to talk about is the fact that there's a passage in there where they talk about the Jesus boiling in piss in hell. He's boiling in a vat of piss in hell. This came to me as I was sitting in super hot water, as hot as I could stand it, making me sweat and making my skin turn a little bit rosy because the water was so hot. And what was in that water? Jars and jars and jars of my own piss. Bathing in piss, that's crazy talk. I don't do it all the time, but I can tell you that I got lots of friends that have no hair, and they all accuse me, but I don't. I swear up and down. I'll give you a hair sample. There is no color in this except for the stuff that comes out of my skin, the melanated stuff. But I don't use, right? Because I come from a generation where you didn't get to do those kind of things if you were straight. Movie stars could do it, and guys that weren't straight could do it, but not straight guys. So anyway, that's just a thing. That's some programming from back in the day. But I can tell you that every time I do those kind of things where I'm drinking the living water, and I made a video, I did that. Then they didn't take it down because I was LARPing. But the idea that you drink that and bathe in it, and yeah, it definitely slows down the process. There is no stopping the process as far as I can tell. You might be able to actually slow it down and maybe even reverse it a little bit, but you're going to reverse it and still be marching forward. Maybe I should go this way anyway, because even if you reverse it a little, you're still going, and you're right. There's no getting away from it. This thing was only designed. Apparently, they've messed with the design to the point where we only last 100 years, maybe 80 years. Like I said, I've got 6 decades. Now I'm going on my 7th decade. And it can't be too many more decades that I get, because we only get so many decades. And then time to go bye-bye. You come with nothing. You don't even get to take this with, right? This whole thing. We have master illusionists running an illusion. And your job, apparently, and my job, is to wake up and smell the roses and spot the illusion. Put the glasses on and go, oh, consume. Oh, right. We've got insane things going on where they're trying to make you think that it's a very, 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 very tiny portion of the population, but that these guys somehow found a voice and have been amplified to the point where they're able to, with a straight face, tell you that somehow they wound up in the wrong body. And now that they're in the wrong body, they're going to go to a guy who definitely has a God complex and a white lab coat and probably a stethoscope. And that guy is going to fix the mistake that the creator of the universe made. And the way he's going to do it is with a scalpel. And the way he's going to prove that they're not crazy is because they're going to fully commit and hack stuff off. Okay. Hey, the idea that's as wrong and backwards and stupid as it can possibly be. But I know lots of people that subscribe to this. I have, well, we won't go there, but I know people who honestly think that, they can somehow no, it's still a guy, it's still a girl. Have you noticed now? Finally, they're starting to bring back tomboys. They're starting to recognize the fact that it's a girl, but she likes being a boy, or she likes acting like a boy. She likes dressing like a boy, but she doesn't want to actually be a boy. She just wants to be a tomboy. And then a lot of tomboys, and I've known quite a few tomboys. I only know one tomboy that turned gay, and that was because it's a long story. But anyway, she very much made a mental decision because she got sick of us men and the way she was being treated. So she went with me. But anyway, she was a tomboy growing up. And all the whole time, she was still very feminine when she wanted to be. But anyway, all the other tomboys that I know all have kids. They're either married or not. And see, this is the other thing I noticed as I'm going through TikTok and looking for homeschoolers and so forth. A lot of the homeschoolers, they don't have these women. They don't have blue hair. They don't have nose rings. They're not obese. They've got 4, maybe 5, maybe 6, sometimes 7, 8, 9, but usually not just 1 or 2. And they're stay-at-home moms, and there's a man in the scene. So there's a father helping, and usually it's the father that he's off working, and mom is homeschooling. Kind of sort of the way it was supposed to be. See, there's these guys that tricked you, the same guys that tricked that mom. See, and I'm going to have to approach it with kid gloves because a lot of those moms talk about, well, you got to follow the regulations for homeschooling in your state. Do those regulations apply to the man or woman? Do they ever mention men or women or is it individuals, or is it parents, or is it students, or is it children? They don't say son or daughter. They don't say man or woman. But yet you think they apply to you, those regulations that the pirates have written. And now the pirates will tell you that if they don't like what you're doing, they'll come and take your kids because they have a greater claim on the child than you do. Maybe you want to remedy that. And the way you remedy that is send my son $100 and he'll tell you what he got on what he put on his passport how he filled it out and what his statement of additional information. Now here's the thing, homeschool. Like I 7 years a slave, and they're having a hell of a time trying to let me off. There is no place to go. Like it's all a plantation. But the idea is that I was trying to not be an unruly slave, but actually be a freeman or a sovereign American. See, and what they do is instead of putting American there, they switched out American and put citizen. So sovereign citizen. Wait a minute, Americans are sovereign. And do you want to argue the point? Americans are sovereign. Go look at our documents. The King of fucking England gave us our sovereign. That's because these crazy guys that came here to practice their religion freely demanded. You know, I've got one tab open and one Chrome browser, and my fans are still going off. And I cleaned off hard drive space and everything, and I'm only going live, and yet my fans are going off. So you can, that buzzing in the background, sorry about that. But I tried to mitigate it, but it's, and here's, if you're just going to rant about stuff, and you guys old enough to remember when you could drag the phone from one room to another, or maybe it was still attached to the wall and you just had a long cord on the the handset back in the day when you actually held this thing, and part of it was for hearing and part of it was for talking, and you could drag that thing around the house for years, and this didn't happen. In fact, if it did happen, you would have raised holy hell. Now, this is 100% planned. They make sure that you have to buy, and I think it's $80 for one of those for the thing that this is attached to, because they were so clever in not putting the power supply in the computer. They made it separate, and then they made the hard drives separate, because I had this mask-wearing freak that worked on my computer outside in his garage, and he had a sign up that said "No mask, no service." Because I gave him my computer, and then all the stupid stuff happened, and then anyway. That's how fast it happened. So when I went back to pick up my computer, now I would not. And was he pissy? This fucking jackass, I gave him a computer that had a 500 gigabyte hard drive, and he gave me back a computer that only had a 250 gigabyte hard drive, thus reducing my productivity greatly. And then you're supposed to just use external drives. Just use external drives. Having more space, and see, now this same device, same size, because I'm not going to buy a brand new one. I'm going to buy a used one, Why am I going to buy a used one? Because I'm not giving Apple any more money. I mean, on the used market, and a lot of people notice that you don't pay tariffs on used goods. So anyway, the idea is that I'm going to get another computer soon, and that's going to have like a terabyte drive, and it's going to be faster and bigger, better, more. And it's going to be, it won't be brand new, but it'll work, and I'll be able to do all kind of fun stuff with it. But the fact is, they make crap consumer products that are designed to break. People, actually, I took this to I can't remember where it was, the Apple store, and they were amazed that the thing was still working. Meantime, in storage someplace, I have this laptop. I think it's running Windows 95, and if you turn the thing, well, maybe not now because it's been sitting in storage, but when I put it in there, which was only a couple of years ago, you could plug that thing in, boot it. It takes forever because you realize, wow, Windows 95 that used to be the standard, and now that's it's a little bit. But the idea is it booted up, no problem, and it ran, and it was a really, really old machine. These things, what I'm on right now is Apple. They don't last, and they're designed not to. And the guys that love these devices are the same guys. A little while ago, they were thinking different and buying electric cars. Now they're burning them. And they're trying to say that they're the good guys. That the guys that are painting swastikas, oops, there's another word you're not supposed to spit, right? It's getting to be ridiculous. There are certain people that are in charge of certain platforms that need to experience justice. Let's put it that way. And they'll never admit it. And see, we're never going to get justice for one of them because she's already dead. And she was very much responsible for making it so that I can't mention certain things. I have some friends that they are dead. Why are they dead? And right? Okay. One of them was a fucking librarian. Really? You're a librarian? You didn't read nothing? And her daughter told me, oh, we did our research and we're confident and comfortable with our decision. And the one that's now dead kind of read me the riot act for being one of them. That's conspiracy. Librarian. Very dead. She had cancer, put it into remission, got rid of it. Did this, not even 6 months. That's what happens when you kill your immune system, oddly enough. I'm not going to name names, but I've got a friend, his dad, gone. His another friend, dad, gone. Another friend, mom, gone. Another friend, sister, gone. Another friend, I mean, just the list is getting, right? And then they're trying to tell you that, pay no attention to the fact that we all, I don't know, there's 3 people watching. Does anybody besides me know somebody that isn't with us anymore? And it's just circumstantial evidence. Maybe it's true or not. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure all of you. Okay. Do those guys buy cars? Or do they, if they had a car, is it now for sale? Do those guys buy houses? And if they had a house, is it in fact, the pirates are loving this because a lot of people, they won't make a trust. They won't make, they get a will. And then you go and give them something to do. And what are they doing? They're deciding on, well, is this will good? Good. All right, then we're going to say that, yeah, pay us some money and we're going to execute the will for you. If you do it privately, the state gets nothing. When my mom passed, there was, right, no assets, but and then one she forgot to take care of, got confiscated by the pirates, but everything else just went to me, free and clear, because it was in trust. Okay, got to set those things up. You own nothing. You get your, step 1, if you're homeschooling, or even if you're not homeschooling, step 1, when they turn 18, immediately, and I have evidence now and proof of concept, the one who was 18 and got his stuff done, because they went in at the same time, he got 5 stars. The one that waited and didn't till he was 19, because you have 1 year grace, got 4 stars. And only because he wrote a spectacular letter, and only because a few things. All right. But the idea is, okay, now they've got their Form 5-star passports, which people were trying to say are conspiracy theory, except I have copies of the cards around here someplace. Because, see, the card will have 5 stars. The passport book, you can't tell by looking at the passport book. But my sons can tell something's up, because every time they cross a border, they tell me the guys always just take the passport. They've been doing it. How many times are they going to do it every day, right? Right, and then they put it in, and then they say that they see their eyes do, and then they look up. Who the fuck are you? And my little boy just smiles. Can I have my passport back? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. Okay. But see, they know that he doesn't know, and I'm not telling him, but he's not in the right place if he's going through TSA, because that 5-star passport says, yeah, I'm not surrendering or waiving my rights. So you don't get to search my shit just because I'm traveling. Further, one of the things that they're reading on that screen is 24/7. You have right to bear arms. Not firearms. You don't have the right to bear firearms. Bearing a firearm is a privilege given to you by the U.S. corporation. But your right to bear arms under the United States of America Constitution, the Constitution for the United States, yeah, it's not abridged. And it's recognized when you have that 5-star passport. That's fact, Jack. Okay, you want one of those? Then your sons or daughters have to be educated enough so that when they turn 18, they know what to do. See, and my boy, he was just a procrastinator. He didn't get his stuff done. And sure enough, a year went by, because time goes by now. Have you noticed it goes by really quickly? Like today, I decided, fuck it, I'm going to sit down, because I've been saying that I'm going to make a video since like Tuesday, and now it's Friday. And again, all this crazy stuff happens if you've been keeping up. But have you noticed things have finally started to taper off? Like, it's not the full blitzkrieg. It's still a blitzkrieg, but it's not as crazy as it has been in the past. Because, it was executive, right? And that was the idea. That was the plan, was to overwhelm them. And now they're finding that maybe they were doing some exposing. Maybe they're crazy like foxes. Let's put it that way. And then we have Dan, who witnessed a lot of things and kept his fucking mouth shut until just recently. And apparently now, maybe they're doing something, because he's trying to say, hey, just because you don't see anything happen doesn't mean there's not large things happening behind the scenes. Trust us. Just like the Bolsheviks back in the day. The Russians weren't worried about and apparently they really did like the guy, the Romanov family. That emperor was, or that czar was popular among the people, and they couldn't believe that he was going to be. And the Bolsheviks? Tiny hat socialists. Are there any tiny hat socialists at DC, or at Washington City, whatever they're calling it now, under the new organization? Yeah, I believe so. And they're trying to say that AOC and Beach House Bernie are going to save the day for the... No, they're actually, I think, going to paint themselves into a corner. But same guys. And is Bernie a dual citizen? What? I think I read that somewhere. Anyway, why don't you take a look at all the dual citizens that exist in the United States corporation? See, because you're thinking in order to be in the United States corporation, you have to be an American. This is clearly not the case, because they have all kinds of immigration and naturalization services where you can be from anywhere. And in fact, we're proud of the fact you can be from anywhere and become a U.S. citizen. Just by, you take a little test, and okay. Actually, according to this guy named Brandon Joe Williams, you can naturalize by any means whatsoever. You don't really maybe have to go through all of that rigmarole. But you can't just say it out loud. You have to sign some paperwork and get them to recognize it. Like my boys, they sent it into the State Department and said, right? I have sent documents into the Federal Trade Commission. I've sent documents to the Secretary of State, just letting them know I ain't no U.S. citizen. Do not reside in any of your 50 corporate entities. Do not am non-resident alien to that city or that place or that 10 square miles where you are. I'm not one of them. I don't take any benefits of any kind. Grandma admonished me and said, don't do that. And I haven't. I've never cashed any benefit check, not unemployment, not anything. I've never gotten a check from the government except as a refund because I was a dumbass and I gave them too much money and then they gave some of it back to me. And I was like, yay, look, I got a refund check. Let's go drink. Because I used to be a slave. Slave mentality. Serf. Employee. Subject to. Subject of. Speaking of subject of, and I got sidetracked with the person from Quebec, what they want to do, again, I don't think he's that smart. What he's doing is, because some of the things are actually pretty fucking genius, actually, when you think about it. And I don't think it came from the mind of Trump. But the idea is Greenland, Canada, and United States or North American continent, and they want that to be a zone. And then they're going to have, they're going to break the plantation up. They're going to reorganize the plantation. They're going to have, and it's just by, they're going to have North America, Canada, and Greenland, and then may include Mexico. Not sure. And then you're going to have South America, and then you're going to have Africa, and then you're going to have Asia, which is basically China, and a few other places over there. And China might even get Australia, and then you're going to have India, and then you're going to have Europe, and that's it. So you're going to have, they want too many nation states right now. So what they want to do is just make some zones and put all us guys together. And so in the quote unquote new world, which is actually the old world, you're going to have 2 zones. And then on the other side, you're going to have Africa. So that'll be 3. Europe, that'll be 4. The China zone, which will be a lot of different things, the China and the Russia zone, which will be 5 and 6. And then you'll have India, which will be 7. And then again, I'm not sure if they're going to do Australia as part of, anyway, but they're going to make the regions less. Now, here's the thing. Have you noticed the market's roiling? Oh, I got to tell this story. We were all expecting it. I don't know about you, but I was fully expecting this. And it turned into kind of a flash crash, but we're going down. They're destroying the system. The whole thing is rigged. I have to talk about silver. Get some. Oh my God, just get some. These guys are going to be worth a lot of money soon. Well, not a lot of money. See, it's not money. A lot of paper. These are, you're going to have to trade a lot of paper to get one of these soon. But right now, have you seen that barbarous relic has outperformed all the other, erudite and astute investments that are made out of this? Yeah, it's outperformed everything. And especially lately. And see, this is what you have to do. Please, those of you that are watching that have friends and family, trick them, cajole them, get them to figure out that they really want to get some metal. I can tell multiple stories about the metal. If you took, let's say, $10,000, and I'm going to go super round numbers, and they're not accurate, but close enough. 10,000 pieces of paper back in 1933. And had you taken that paper and turned it into gold at that price, that gold would be worth about 800,000 of those pieces of paper now. But see, back then, that 10,000 would have bought a house. That 10,000 would have bought some gold, right? And back in 1933, $10,000 was a fuck ton of money. Like a fuck ton of money. My grandmother told me was right the way I tell my son stories about going to Waihe store with a quarter and getting soda and candy and right with just one quarter. Well, guess what? That one quarter right now, well, at that time it wasn't, I'm not that old, but the mentality was still that quarter was worth some money, that it was money, not a slug, because it used to be made out of silver. That same silver quarter right now is worth about $6. And sure, if I took $6 to the store, I could get a soda and I could get some candy and I could get some chips, right? But if I just take a regular old quarter now that's a slug and take it to, I can't even get I don't think 50 cents will buy a small can of Coke. In Hawaii, they have the, what do they call them? Courtesy bars or whatever it is in the hotels, and they have the half-size cans. Yeah, so you can actually see half-size. Anyway, you couldn't get one of those for a quarter is the idea. There is the money going to no good. But anyway, convince your friends, because the big boys are doing this. The big boys right now are absolutely taking their paper and converting it into gold and silver, mostly gold, because it takes too much room for the amount of money that one silver coin is worth. If you've got millions of dollars that you want to, but if you've got millions of dollars that you want to put into gold, you can do that, because 1 ounce of it is what? Heck, I'd have to check, but we're well over $3,000 now. I just want to know, because we have the gold to silver ratio is now like over 100. Actually, I'll check that too. Right now on Friday night, because they've set it for the weekend, right? So all weekend, all the people that are buying on eBay or any coin shop, all right, so gold is right now $3,254.90. It has been on a tear. All right, so what is gold to silver ratio exactly? I know it's over 90. And here's the thing, in 339 years, it has spent about 3 years at 90 or above. And the higher you go, the less time. So I think I was listening to Mike Maloney, and he was saying that, let's see, gold to silver ratio. Yes. The gold to silver ratio, 79 ounces. That's complete bullshit. Chat GPT is a fucking liar. The current gold to silver ratio is approximately 79 to 1. No, it's not. No, it's not, you fucking liars. Let's see here. Gold to silver ratio from, how about an actual company that knows, like Kitco or something. Let's see. Gold passes 3,200 for the first time in history. Are you going to give me the price chart or not? Oh, there it is. Okay. It is now at 100.1. Okay. And if you look at the chart, at the very end of the chart, it goes like this, straight up. Okay. 100 to 1. That means for every ounce of silver, right? For every ounce of gold, you get 100 ounces of silver. It will stay up here at this height, where it's this far out of whack in the last, I think he said 2,500 years. I don't think we have data going back that far, but in 1,000 years, it's been at this level. It has stayed at this level for weeks, just weeks. We're about to see silver either go way up or go crash. I don't think gold's going to crash. But this ratio is completely out of whack. Beseech your friends and family. Right now, you can go to coin shop and they're flush. People are actually selling their silver, not holding on to it. And the big boys are like, dumb fucking slaves. You want to give us your silver at 30? We'll take your silver at 30. In fact, India is doing that. So is Russia. So is China. I should put some stuff down here that I don't rehash. But the idea that Yeah, they are absolutely taking their paper and turning it into gold or silver, mostly gold. However, India and even Russia, and especially China, is stockpiling silver as we speak. Okay, um, get some. The middle class is about to get creamed. What they want is the middle class to become the underclass. There will be no middle class, and then there's going to be an uber wealthy class. Right now, and this never in the history of the world, I have people say, "Oh, you better get used to it because okay." What we have is a system right now where the wealth of the many is being transferred to the few. And it's always been, the system has always aggregated wealth up to the top of the pyramid, always. Okay, but now it's extreme because they have many tools to do so. Um, and they can do so without ever having to look you in the eye. They just electronically take. Okay. Um, there are many people that will tell you, besides me, that what they want is the lower the feudal class, and then you'll have the overlords. These guys have castles and horses and swords and armor, and you guys live in mud huts. And you make sure you serve them so that when you go out in the field and you farm, they're not farming, you're farming. And then so that they don't mess with you, you give them a portion of the proceeds. So you give them some milk from the cow, you give them some chickens or maybe some eggs, you give them produce from the field, which could be, who knows, whatever you're growing, wheat or fruit or nuts or whatever. And you give it to them. They're not working. Same thing. Today, there are none of the elites guarding prisons. They profit off of that, but they don't do the guarding. None of the quote unquote elites, and see, calling them elite, they're anything but. These people are just thoroughly disgusting. The habits that they have taken up would turn your stomach if you study too much. I'm going through a book by Manly P. Hall, and it's very interesting. It's kicking my butt because it's long, and I'm doing audio and also reading. 15 hours so far, and I'm only halfway through part 2. There's 4 parts, and they're all basically 10 hours long. But the information in there is priceless, and it's nutrient dense too. I'm going to have to take notes. And see, this is the thing. To make mind maps and notes of it like that, I'm going to have to listen like 40 hours more than once, and then be able to take notes. Like this one. I listened to this stuff that I made this from. This is about nicotine, probably 3 or 4 times before I finally started taking notes. Okay, I know a little bit about nicotine now, and the fact that that's tell your friends and family to put a nicotine patch on. It's not. It's See, I'm trying to make it so that the AI can't understand. The thing that worked really well for a while there, or well, I'm going to do it again. I'll be LARPing again, but it takes too much energy and I'm tired. I got no sleep last night and got up early this morning because I'm having a fun time. It's a whole technology with this TikTok thing. But anyway, the idea being is that with the LARPing, AI can't understand Pidgin English. So I can get away with saying some stuff because the AI don't understand. Anyway, this right here, there's no conspiracy here. This stuff works. They actually did have venom. A lot of people are starting to find out that, yeah, there was some venom. That comic book character, Venom, there was some venom. And they even know, Crate Snake, they know what it was, Gila monsters and all kind of stuff. They have... and see, they tried to call that like, oh, that's just crazy talk. And then everybody, oh, no. There are companies, listed companies, and some of them are private, that that's what they do. They sell venom for medicinal use. Okay, so there's this guy named Asclepius. He was so good at curing the humans, he could even use poison to cure the humans. That's how good he was at curing humans. But mostly he didn't do that. He did other things. And he became such a healer that I've told you this story before. Jason has told you this story. But he became such a master healer that the humans were living too long. And see, this is the thing. If you look through history and you start to read a lot of mythology and legends and so forth, there's a recurring theme where there's always seems to be that the gods or the whoever they are think that there are too many humans, and you got to keep the humans under control. You can't have too many men and women running around on this plane, or things go awry. Is what they think, is the way they believe. So, and also Hades was getting a little upset because this Asclepius guy, who was trained by a satyr, was making it so that humans weren't coming down into his realm because they weren't dying. So he went and complained to Zeus. Anyway, long story short, Zeus made it so that Asclepius could only heal using poison after that. And also, then he made it so that he not only couldn't use the good stuff anymore, he actually made him go work. He murdered him and made him go work for Hades as the boatman to bring guys into the realm. That was his punishment for being so uppity. There's a couple of stories there. There's a bunch of legends around that. But the bottom line is, if you do some study, I wouldn't touch their pharmakia with a 10-foot pole. And this is the other thing. They're amazed when I talk to people that have the God complex. You don't take any pharmaceutical? None. Not any. Not one. My girlfriend takes hormones. That's it. Estradiol or whatever. Anyway, it's a patch, just like the nicotine patch. And yeah, that's it. And so I don't take anything. But the idea is, and neither does she, except for some hormone replacement. And why? Because when you get into your 60s, your body doesn't create the hormones anymore. But you know what does balance out your hormones? And what does? That living water, bathing and drinking it. You can see that I do not have a hormone deficiency. And you can see guys that do have a hormone deficiency. Oh, here's a fun little piece of information. As 1 in 5 who did this, who don't have a womb, can't do this anymore. They can only do this. Their injection system, because they did this, their injection system no longer works, because in order for it to inject, it has to be like that. And if it's like this, okay, 1 in 5. Doesn't matter whether you're a teenager, 10, well, I don't know about that young, but teenagers, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, definitely 50, 60, 70. 1 out of 5. Okay. One of these guys, no can. Just from doing this. Okay. It wasn't an accident. And those aren't side effects. Those are the effects. If your friends and family were foolish enough and have now woken up, the next thing you might wake them up to, coming back around to it, is getting some of this. We're going to, those of us that do manage to get a few of those, will set our families up for generations. Assuming that we get some generations to set them up, because you got to take a look at 2046 and 2040 and see that there's some stuff that's going to happen in just a few short years. I remember when 2040 was like a long ways away. My boys were like 10 at the time, but now a quarter century, that would seem like a kind of a long time. But now it's no longer a quarter century. Now it's 15 years to the first one, and then to the big nasty one, the one that's going to reshape things. That's 2046. Now, I saw a very cool presentation from Jason that was nutrient dense. I'm going to watch that one again. But basically what he figured out is that there's 2 planes. There's the ecliptic that has Sol, and there's this other ecliptic that hits it at an angle. And every time these 2 orbits intersect, we call it Nibiru, there was an astronomer that actually, and the only reason why they recorded it, everybody called him silly, but he recorded the fact that there is some object that went across the sun, a large object, and he recorded the fact. You can take a look at that. Apparently, this happens. About 138 years was the number, and then there's another cycle where Nibiru, this dark thing, shows up. Okay, they lied to us about everything, and now it's starting to unravel, and people are starting to be able to look because we have this device, and we also have AI, which lies like a motherfucker. Did you just see? Did you see that? Did you see that? Okay, AI lies about everything because I can clearly see it right here on a website that tracks that it's 100.1. And what did the chat AI tell me? Oh, it's about 79 ounces to 1, 79 to 1. There's a fuck of a difference between 79 to 1 and 100 to 1. Just saying. So no trust those guys. Let's see, we're going to have a whole generation that trusts AI. It's AI. And since we can't trust the humans because they're corrupt, we're going to use AI. Okay. I can assure you, I don't know how it's going to work in the courts, but I can assure you that, yeah, there's going to be a whole lot less of the lawyers soon because the paperwork and the stuff that they do can be done by AI just like this. You put your name in, you put the address, you put all the different details in, and then AI shoots up the document instantaneously. Whereas it might have taken a lawyer and his secretary a while, and the secretary would actually have to type the thing. We're no longer there where it's an actual typewriter, but they'd still have to put it in on a device like this and type it out. Or maybe they have templates and they can cut and paste templates, which the AI is going to do, and then make the legal document for you. But I mean, lawyers sit around all day long and write contract, like the TikTok contract. Oh my God, look at TikTok. Yeah, we do what the fuck we like with your data, and we take all your data. we go into everything. We use microphone, we use picture. We gotta, especially since this thing is a content site. So we're gonna look at all your photograph. We're gonna look at all your video. We're gonna look at any video you ever looked at in your whole life. We're gonna track all your web wherever you go. We're gonna do everything, and we're gonna send it back to China, and it's gonna sit on a server over there. Anyway. At the same time, in exchange for that data, here's an opportunity to make some money. And there's some people, some very ordinary people, pulling down $3,000-$4,000 a month as a matter of course. I'm just fucking around on TikTok. And it's not like it's no work. It is definitely, they have to do so. But I mean, yeah, okay. My girlfriend's son on Facebook back in the day, he had a website and they sold t-shirts. And I believe it was something about short people. I can't remember. But anyway, that was the theme. And then they had all these t-shirts and they make $4 or $5 grand a month. And then they cut that off because nobody sees the site. Just like, I don't know if you guys scroll on Facebook at all. The only time I'm pretty much on Facebook anymore is I post a bunch of memes and I leave. And then once in a while I'll scroll just a little bit until, because I noticed now that if I scroll, I don't see my friends. I see people I've never met before. And do you want to follow? No, I don't want to follow. I see pages that are diametrically opposed to my beliefs because they absolutely know. TikTok absolutely knows. It's like Dick Allgaier was talking about the fact that you don't have to inform your bank that you're leaving the country anymore. It used to be you'd have to call up the bank and say, hey, I'm going to be in, right? So don't cancel my card or don't put a freeze on my card or right? Okay. They already know because you probably used the card to buy a ticket and book a hotel. They don't tell you that, but they know. Okay, so that if you bought a ticket and and booked a hotel, you're probably going to be in Japan. So you're probably going to use the card in Japan. So you don't have to, right? Okay. They through the data that they mine and see. I got a couple interesting messages from TikTok that let me know that they're not just getting the data that I gave them. They're going elsewhere. Using my unique name, well, which it turns out to be not so unique, but then they have some other identifiers that I fucking gave them, like email addresses, and I gave him a phone number that I don't have a phone. And this is another thing that makes me, he doesn't take pharmaceuticals and he doesn't have a device next to his head. That device next to your head turns your hair gray, makes it fall out, makes your skin wrinkle, does all kind of terrible things. And you use it all the time. I see people all the time. The thing plastered right next to their head. You know there's RF there. You know there's radiation there because it has to send a signal out elsewhere. And people don't care. Okay, but anyway, I don't have one. What I was going to do, but see, I keep thinking that I'm not, this is a temporary situation. I'm going to leave. But this temporary situation has turned into months and months now. But the idea is to put a phone line. Oh my God, remember that? When you actually had a cable, right? So my phone, when I get a phone and a phone number, is going to be attached and tethered to the wall, just like it was when I was a little boy, right? As soon as they untethered that phone, they enslaved most of you the rest of the way. Because I know people who won't leave the house without that device, and that device tracks you. Why is there a lithium battery in there when we know that if lithium gets wet, it goes kaboom? Also, lithium can supercharge and go kaboom. And they proved that in, where was that place where there's like, see, you can't even talk about that. But it starts with a P, and they're on the Mediterranean. And there's these other guys that wear tiny hats that called their place ISIS, Ra, and L. And anyway, they blew up a bunch of them guys. But they couldn't do it to you. They wouldn't do it to you because they're our best friends and they're our number one ally in the whole wide world. We have one super duper ally. Painful. Anyway, that super duper ally can blow your phone to smithereens if it wants to. Is there other places where there might be large amounts of lithium battery? Maybe you put it in your garage. I know this is all crazy talk, right? And the other thing too, I've said this before, I get to the point where I'm repeating myself, all of the wavelengths could be beneficial to us. Instead, they're detrimental. The light that's coming out of that screen right there that I just hit, yeah, it could be in a wavelength that's beneficial to you, that's beneficial to your mind, that's beneficial to your eyes, that's beneficial to your skin. But no. Same thing with the router. This thing is not there's a cable that's connected to my headphones, like that one, but I could do that wirelessly if I wanted to, but I don't. So I use headphones, and these actually have noise cancellation. And then there's this wire that gives it some power, right? It comes from the wall. But there is no wire going to a router. There is no wire going, right? All this signal is floating through the air magically to a router that's in another room. And it's interesting too, because if I click this, how many, oh my God, there's more than there used to be. Let's see, and most of them, they don't even know how to do it, right? Setup, and there's one guy, Diamond Dogs, Encinitas, Poopsy Poopers. There's hundreds of them, but most of them are just set up and a number set up in a code because they never did set up their routers. But these are all the routers, and every 1, 2, 3, that one doesn't have much signal. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 27 of them full bars. If I had the password, I could jump on and it would be just as clear as the one that I'm on right now. Which, by the way, my girlfriend set it up. So it says set up also. It doesn't have a name. But I have, of course, full bars on that. But there's multiple ones that also have full bars here. And then there's only like one, so that must be far away. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them that are, 2 or 3 bars are, not full signal. All right. How much signal is that bouncing off of me and through me? See, they cheated, motherfuckers. They cheated because that's the one thing we can't defend against. The light and sound that comes out of your computers, yeah, and the light and sound that comes out of your TV, and the light and sound that comes, or just sound that comes out of your radio, you can defend against that. And the way you can defend against it is 1, you can turn it off, or 2, you can realize that it's bullshit. 3, you can look at it with new eyes. Like when I realized that the Forex is fucking rigged. The gold market is rigged. The silver market is rigged. The bond market is rigged. The stock market is rigged. It's all rigged. What they did is they set up a system so they don't have to work. We work, right? It's a system of capital. It's a capitalist system. And see, now they don't have to do violence to steal from you, right? So we're making a step in the right direction, because before, in the past, the pirates, the only way they did it was at gunpoint or the club or a sword. So they had to do violence to take from you. Now, with the capitalist system, they don't have to do violence anymore. They can just take from you. So it's like I said, a step in the right direction. And again, in the capitalist system, if everybody just said, you know, we don't fucking want to use this Wi-Fi anymore, give us something else, but you can't because you're addicted. You couldn't go on strike. But the idea is those wavelengths, you can't defend against them. And if you read, and people don't, DARPA documents and the DoD, Department of Defense, they want full fucking spectrum dominance. And this is part of the spectrum, right? I don't know how this thing even runs. I just run it. I know I put certain food in it and it's better than others. I know I drink certain things and that's better than others. I quit drinking alcohol. I quit drinking coffee. I told you about the concoctions that I make using Cruz de Malta mate and do I have a bag of it? Yes, I do, right here. This is the one that's actually magic right here. This one. And this is just the vine chopped. And see, there's a lot of places where you could just get the seed, plant this, and then you could go outside, grab this. And this is longevity tea. The way that they discovered this in China was that wherever they were drinking large amounts of this, the people were living to be centenarians, 100 years or more. Lots of them, you know, outside the normal bell curve. And they figured out that it was this. Okay. And then you take it the next step. It wasn't just this. First you drink this, and then you catch the water, and then you drink it again, and now. Okay, and I can say with no doubt in my mind that once I started using this and drinking the living water, everybody noticed. Everybody noticed. Because when the first day I got out of jail after being in there for 143 days, I was looking pretty haggard, right? No sun, right? Sun deprivation, had been doused with all manner of chemicals, and I know they put shit in the water. And anyway, long story short, I wasn't looking so good. And then there's pictures to prove it. I look way younger than I did 3 years ago, but I'm still getting older, right? And then in there, you'll notice if you look at my old videos, my teeth were not fucked up. It's okay. They're going to pay for it. But the idea is, but oh man, I'd rather not go through what I'm going to have to go through to get a normal. And I'm 60. And see, this is the thing. If I live to be as old as my mother, I got 7 years to go. As far as I'm concerned, my grandfather, he was in the ground at 55. 54 is when he died. So I've got 7 years on that one. So I'm right in the in-between. 7 years from my grandfather's passing, 7 years until my mother's passing. And then here's an interesting piece that you don't care about, but just happens to be in my family, is that my whole life, I never heard hide nor hair of my father. I saw some pictures, right? My mom showed me some pictures, and I can show you, like I said, pictures of my father handing Malcolm X's widow a check, because the organization, he gathered money together and gave the widow some money. So I had pictures like that. Never actually met the guy, never heard his voice, except that there's some YouTube videos that he made way back in the day. And oddly enough, they never talked. They never talked. Never once. Not even through lawyers. They just never had any communication, because the wounds were so deep. Because you have to remember, back in 1964, and that would have been 1963, back in 1963, white women didn't fuck black men. You weren't allowed. Well, you could, but you're going to be ostracized, and there's going to be some issues. And then guys like me in black neighborhoods or in white neighborhoods, would have a very hard time. But on Maui, I fit right in. But I couldn't tell, they didn't know. They thought I was one of them. Anyway, the idea is, and on top of that, no racism there. I'm telling this story, and I've been making videos all day, so I forget what stories and who I've told. But the idea is, my little boys grew up on Maui, and they had no fucking idea what racism was. It was a foreign thing. We hear about it in the news and Obama and blah blah blah, and we hear all about racism. But to actually explain, no, everybody gets along. My girlfriend is Japanese. Nobody look at us even twice. In Hawaii, over here, they definitely like, oh, that's an odd couple. And you'll see any race with any of Filipinos and Howleys, right? Fair skin and dark skin, Pacific Island. Everybody just gets along. Not so much here in. I'm not going to say that I've experienced just a little tiny bit of racism, but see, because I'm from Maui too. Afterwards, I go, wait a minute, that guy was being racist. But it's like afterwards, it was like I didn't do anything. Well, what I did was show up looking like this, and he didn't like black guys, and there's some women like that too. Like, you know, they're handing you change and they won't touch your hand. They make sure that you, right? Anyway, just shit like that. And see, a lot of my white friends, they have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about because it never happens to them because they're white. It's amusing. Anyway, and it doesn't bother me even slightly. Their ignorance is showing, not mine. And overall, like I said, everybody here in Phoenix is pretty cool because there's lots of Mexicans. There's this is not really I wouldn't call it a metropolitan city with lots and lots of different races. But when I go to Costco or when I go downtown, I can't remember the name of the street. There's a street down there that's famous. It's got all kind of shops and restaurants and stuff like that, like every downtown in every city in every nation. But anyway, it's a cool place. And if you go down there and people watch, there's Africans. And when I say Africans, I mean like this color Africans, like Africans from Africa there. And Indians, of course, because there's tech here. And a lot of them come over for tech. And there's Mexicans. And you can tell those are Mexican Americans, not Mexicans. And there's, American blacks. And of course, the indigenous population. But you don't see many of them, oddly enough. There's not a whole lot of Indians running around. I saw the most concentration of Indians I saw was in jail. Every place else, it's very rare to see like 4 Indians in one place at one time because those people have been decimated. And then there's a road up here called Indian School. There's a piece of history you didn't want to know about, but you should know about because we did. We took those Indians and put them in schools and tried to turn them into U.S. citizens. We weren't trying to they were already Americans with unalienable rights. And in fact, that's how I wound up in Hawaii, is because my mom and my dad got together in a place called Chicago in Illinois, a big city. And it was actually, no, it's not even true. Back in 1963, it was not cool. It was not even slightly cool. Everybody, his side of the family, my side, everybody had an issue. In fact, have I told this story before? So my mom brings me back to because she, after things fell apart, she picked her little baby boy up, that would be me, and went back to mom's house on the Mississippi River in Port Byron, or no, it was Rock Island. And my uncle apparently had told her, "Don't you bring that nigga baby back here." And my mom and my grandma was the same. "Don't you bring that nigga baby over here. What are our neighbors gonna think?" Blah, blah, blah. Mom just fuck it, and she picked me up and brought me home. And they were literally pretty much barring the door, like she wasn't going to come in the house. And apparently, my mom just fucking handed me to my grandmother, and I'm a little tiny baby. Right after I was born, things like it became very clear that it wasn't going to stay together. Anyway, long story short, my grandma looked down at me and just went off. And that's it, man. Me and my grandma were close right until the day she died, actually. But she started out with, "Don't bring that nigger baby home." Okay, I cured the racism in my family just by being there. And then I was only there for like 4 years. And then what happened? Hawaii, think about this, 1968. Hawaii had only been a state, like the corporation had only stolen this place 9 years previous, 1959. I got there. not even a decade later, Hawaii was quite an interesting place in the 60s and 70s. When we were there, or the reason why my mom went there is because there was a teacher shortage. What they needed was some good white girls like her to come over and indoctrinate the natives, turn them into U.S. citizens. And she knew it. And she even told me that her job, part of her job, was to turn these people, she used the word American because she was a slave, just like I was, but turn them into Americans so that they knew all the stupid stories about Columbus, and they knew all the stuff that we all found out is complete bullshit and that was taught to us in schools. But they needed some indoctrinators. And my mom didn't know she was indoctrinated. My mom was a classic Democrat liberal. But see, Democrat liberal, equality, fuck who you want, right? And this is the 60s, before the 63. This is before the flower power generation and drugs and everything got in there. Also, freedom of speech, not just for liberals, for everybody. Anti-war, no war bad, war bad. 50 billion to Ukraine, bad. 50 billion to ISIS, Israelis, bad. 50 billion to any fucking buddy that's making war and killing babies. Because that's what war does. The babies just come with the scenery, the animals and the women all suffer while the men try to kill each other. Anyway, so yeah, no war. And see, this mug might have a little bit more meaning to me now, and you might understand. Because I assure you, if my mom is watching any of this from wherever she is, she's crying. Because what the fuck has happened to the dead? Really? Hands off? Really? Are you people that fucking? Yes, they are. So what you got to do, and see, there's another thing. Let them speak, let them speak, let them speak. We love it when they speak. You know why we love it when they speak? Because they totally, in Hawaii, we have a saying, let them make ass. Right, you like make ass? Make ass? Go ahead, make ass. And they make ass every day. And they're so fucking stupid, they don't even know they're making ass. Think about people that are so fucking stupid, they couldn't tell that something happened in 2020, that, right? Okay. And then they did this, and then they did that. All the while denying that, no, everything was up and up. So the guy that told you that it was the safest, most secure election in the history of it just lost his fucking security clearance. Him going down. And did you see the picture? I think it was SGT report, or it might have been Nino, or it might have been, there's a lot of different guys, I can't remember. Anyway, but there's a picture of Whitmer, and she looked like somebody just died. She don't look happy. She looked like she might be in trouble. And she's just in the background. She's not even in the focus of the picture. Just, you can see her in the background. Whitmer does not look happy. I'm pretty sure that, because you got to remember before the whole thing went down, Trump apparently was on the phone talking to people and asking them to do the right thing when it came to, they knew that they shouldn't have certified, and they certified anyway. And guess what? Certifying a fraudulent when you know it's fraudulent, that's treason. And back in my day, you never heard a politician use the word treason. And that comes out of his mouth like twice a day. Tweeting it, it's always tweeting it, Xing it, or whatever you call them. Yeah. I have said many times, custom is the highest form of law. And customarily, Americans do that to traders. Oh, we keep hearing that it's going to happen. We'll see. We'll see. Because I've heard all kinds of stuff where, it's all going on behind the scenes and so on and so forth. Yeah, well, there's a video. I'm choking on my own spit with some of this. There's a video of a guy. He does a lot of great videos where he shows you that a lot of, I see actors in scripted events. The problem is the blood is real. Okay, it's reality TV. The illusionists are putting on illusions, and they are illusionists. It's magic, and they figured out how we co-create in this realm. And if they can put it into our minds, they can help us co-create. So one of the things that they put in our minds, oh, you have to be afraid of this thing you've never seen before, but it could kill you. And the only thing you can do to protect yourself, here's the easy fix. Yeah, just put this on, and then you can't be killed anymore. So if you put that on, you're safe. And then just to be sure, do this. Okay. And they all fucking lined up. You watched them. 8 for fucking 10 in Hawaii. Okay. People that were that fucking gullible and stupid are now saying hands up and standing on the side of the road with signs that say hands up. Was there ever any a time when they said, anybody, any fucking buddy said that they were going to cut Social Security? Anybody? Nope. Oh, and this is great. I got into a little tip. See, like I said, I don't spend time on Facebook anymore because these people are just too fucking stupid. I mean, really? They were going to try and tell me that, okay, see that guy right there? That's a Jamaican and he's black. The one that was never held a primary and so forth, that woman, no. And a slaver on top of everything else. Candace Owens, Janet Jackson, several other people did just a little bit of digging. And yeah, her family came to take part in the trade. The most peculiar institution. They made money off of that. And now, from Jamaica, she's in the United States. Corporation. Helping to run the things. Anyhow, they're that stupid where they want to try and convince, and then call me a racist for refusing to go along with their complete and utter fucking dumbassery. I don't care, right? It's to the point now where I just laugh. It doesn't, like, they have absolutely zero, as my son would say, my younger boy, less than zero. They are ineffectual and stupid. So let them speak, let them speak, let them speak. It's finally starting to dawn on some of them that something might, right? And that whole, the only people that went to jail were Jason. And this is the other thing, billions now of what's looking like fairly provable fraud. Nobody goes to jail. But anyway, if you go back to that one guy I was talking about, I can't remember his name, darn it. But he makes the videos where he shows you that they are master illusionists. And then I was just saying that I never did get to poke or see the body of that guy that jumped off the bridge, Cappy, who was telling you everything. And then it turns out that, I don't think he has a YouTube video because he's not allowed on YouTube anymore. But if you go to my Facebook pages, and I've linked them before, you can find the video I'm talking about, because it's a grand illusion, except for the part where the bodies are real. It's like when they run some, and see, you can't really, they won't let us use the word that's, let's see here, A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, F, okay, so 6, 6, there you go. We can't use that word here. Or, well, I guess it's 2 words. But anyway, sometimes the blood is real. Not always. Sometimes it's completely fake, which is happy. And they're just, pushing an agenda. But there are times when it's not completely fake and those bodies are real. But it's still reality TV that you're taking part. And if you want to, you can sign your name on a piece of paper and you can be participating in the U.S. corporation's rituals every 2 years. There's a big one every 4 years and there's other ones every 2 years. Anyway, the idea is if you want to participate, you can participate in the thing. But some of you have figured out it doesn't matter. You're right, because you vote, you don't elect. You're not electors, you're voters. Okay, I don't like be one voter in the U.S. corporation. In fact, I've made it pretty clear to everyone involved that calling me a U.S. citizen actually pisses me off, and I consider that insulting because I want nothing to do with United States corporation. I will say that we are not, we do not have a adversarial relationship, even though you tried to defraud my mother into selling all my labor into slavery. And she never would have signed any document had she known that she was giving her boy over to slavery. My grandmother figured it out. because she was born before they did all the crazy stuff that happened in 29 and 33. And by the way, they're going to do the same thing again. It's been about the amount of time where everybody's dead. And if everybody wasn't dead, they killed them off in the last 4 years with, doing this thing. Again, I know an entire, gone, they're gone. My friends' dads, right? Many of my friends' dads gone. Many of my friends' moms gone. Oh, they would have died anyway. Right? Because, they were now in their, but I had one friend, because they're, my mom was 34 when she had me. So if she was still alive, she'd be 94. 6 more years will be the 100th anniversary of her birth. Well, actually 5 more years. But the idea is that whole generation is basically gone. And what wasn't gone, they got rid of, right? They don't want guys like me who remember chicken pox parties. They don't want guys like me who remember that everybody in the generation before us got the measles. Everybody. Like there wasn't anybody that didn't get, and if you didn't, they had a party. So you would. Well, why? Because that actually gives you, that will make you immune. But no, we got something better for you, right? And what you're going to do is do this, and then you're not going to have to worry about your little boy or girl ever getting bumps ever again. Of kind. No pox, no nothing. Came at a high price, though. But anyway, they don't want guys like me telling anybody, the 20-year-olds, the teenagers, my own sons, they can't hardly, really, you guys, yes. Or if you couldn't go to the party, maybe somebody that did go to the party, or the child that was having the party, because that would be the one that was all covered in the pox, and you'd go play with them. Anyway, you'd get their t-shirt, you'd get some clothes, and you'd put that on. Or maybe you got a sucker, which is kind of gross, but because that kid sucked on it, and you suck on a sucker, and then, right, you didn't do this. That's fucking crazy talk. Are you insane? I was at a playground on Maui, and I was asking around because I had my boys, and they hadn't got it yet. And I wasn't going to do this. And the moms looked at me like I was are you crazy? 8 for 10. Now, one of the happy things in Hawaii is lots of sun, so you get lots of vitamin D, and large population there that smokes, so they do the thing. And the government loves them so much. You know how much the government loves them? That they're going to limit the amount of nicotine in the products because, the nicotine is super duper. Asked AI, that fucking liar that just tried to tell me that the gold to silver ratio was 79 when it's 100.1, so it is over 100. Why would AI lie about the gold to silver ratio? Why would AI lie and tell you that something that was not safe and effective was safe and effective? Well, why would that be? Is that beyond your scope of reasoning and comprehension? That they're lying to you about every fucking thing? And the purpose is to extract wealth from you. Now, see, I was talking to a little boy recently, and the whole reason for learning the mathematics is so that once in a 16, 20, 30, 40 generations opportunity bites you on the ass, maybe take advantage of it. Because again, that gold to silver ratio will sit at that number in the last 1,000 years for a few weeks. It doesn't happen. Get some. And right now, as always, gold is leading the way. Just got a lot of catching up to do. And it's gonna. There's no question that it's gonna. Okay. Take advantage. Oh, we don't have any money. You're right. There isn't any fucking money. So do something to get some pieces of paper that you can trade for this. Because you're correct. There isn't any fucking money. This is money. Actually, this is still credit because you credited against gold. There was a guy named JP Morgan that told you everything else, right? Gold is money. Everything else is credit. And right now, the big dogs are taking their paper, that they have devalued to the point where you can barely buy a house now for less than 500,000 of those pieces of paper. Maybe there are some places for 250,000, but on Maui, 250,000, you can't. You can still maybe get a condo, maybe. Probably not, though. But the idea is that they are taking their assets and turning it into actual tangible wealth that they hold in their hands. See, this is the thing, taking for delivery. You see the price of silver crash? Okay, how many billions of ounces, right? And then see, that was the best thing, right? We were supposed to have the silver squeeze on Monday, and they crashed the price, right? And so a lot of people are actually apparently selling their silver to the shops. Right? Had enough already, right? Maybe they bought it at 20 and they're taking a profit. Well, fuck, $10 an ounce is pretty good if you ask me. I agree. But I don't think I want $10 an ounce when I know that there's going to be $100 an ounce and maybe in gains, and maybe because that would just be $130 from here, and 130 is coming, 150 is coming, 300 is coming, 600 is coming. Right? They've screwed the pooch. Those dollars not worth nothing. So again, got to come back and say, get yourself some silver and do some research. I can put lots of links, but again, I found out that the reason why a lot of my videos were being taken down is because I was putting links. But if you look at some of my old videos, they're still there. And it's link. And see, that was the other thing that pissed me off. Videos that got taken down. You know how long it takes to go find all those links, cut and paste, and put a little description and so forth so you can click it? Yeah, and then it turned out that was what was causing a lot of my vids to be taken down, because now you'll notice that if you click an external link, it actually pops up and says, you sure you want to leave? You don't want to leave, do you? Worse than this platform is TikTok. Oh my God. But like I said, TikTok is a wild and woolly frontier, like how some of the internet was 10, 15 years ago. And people are exploiting it to make money. A very few, are making stupid amounts of money. And a lot of people have figured out how to monetize their TikTok videos without having to show pictures of their feet or have sex, because they're selling all kind of products. And what people have figured out, and see what the wealthy know, is that you don't want to take $1,000 from 100 people to make $100,000. What you want to take is $1 from 100,000 people, because they won't miss the dollar. Okay, TikTok kind of does that, where you can just get a little bit of money from a lot of people, and then it turns into a lot of money for you. Okay, that's the way the wealthy have been doing all, and they don't want you doing that. So they're gonna try and get rid of it. So, and they've already said, right? They've already made some machinations that the Chinese gonna, and then it turns out that the whole thing is AI. This thing is run with AI, but some of the accounts, contrary to what some of my friends would say, Stacy, little old me with my what I got 1,700 followers or something like that. Yeah, people that only had 250 followers, they absolutely throttle you down. Make sure, and I've had more than one occasion where I realized that first the AI flags it, then an actual human, and then the human, I don't believe, will watch the whole thing like I've been blabbering on here for an hour and 48 minutes. They're not watching an hour for it. They're watching just long enough to find a violation and kill the video. And then one of the ways that I give them is when people were watching my videos, clicking the link off of the platform, bing, what's this guy doing? And maybe they send an actual human to investigate, because do you know how many videos go up every day? So for you to think that there are, brigades of humans watching everything that gets uploaded, no, they're using AI. And now AI is being used against them. But hands off. Average IQ of those guys, 160. And I've explained, I hope, to the best of my ability, that those guys are able to write AI programs that can act like forensic accountants. Oh, speaking of AI programs, I've had some interesting bots. Apparently, something that I put in my posts on Facebook have triggered a few bots, because I had a couple bots come over and say, "Oh, are you having trouble with your account? You should get in touch with so and so." I never even said that. And then I had another one where it's like, "Hey, I unfriended you by accident." I was like, "Go fuck off." I don't even know who you are. Because this is the thing. And I'm about to make some changes to my Facebook account, like I said, because I'm hardly going to be there. I'm moving to TikTok, and I'll come here and fool around, because TikTok, make 10-minute videos. But they liked me enough that I am now able to go live on TikTok, and I don't have 1,000 followers. I only have 100 followers, but I have had some engagement and lots of people. So I got 100 followers, and I've only been on there since April Fools. And I think that on Facebook, what I'm going to do is get rid of everybody, because there was a time, and then I screwed up. It was me, and after I did it, I went, "Oh fuck, I shouldn't have done that," because I accepted a whole bunch of friend requests because they were followers, or they were following me, but they had given me friend requests. And anyway, I accepted too many. But most of the people on Facebook, I've cracked a beer with them. I could tell you if that was their handwriting or not. I know their kids' names. I know their dogs' names. I know if they own a cat or not. Right? I've been to their house. I know what kind of car they drive. Right? These are friends. I know these people. Okay, I don't have 500. I don't think I have 585 or something like that. Okay, I don't have that many friends, but I definitely had more than, because I used to be a DJ. I lived on the island for 50 years. In 50 years, you should know a few hundred people. There's a rule of 200. Any salesman knows this. Average size funeral, 200. Average size wedding, 200. Average size graduation party, 200. Average size baby luau in Hawaii, 200. Okay, that's the rule of 200. That everybody knows about 200 people. Well, it turns out I knew about 300, little over 300 people. And then I stupidly, so what I'm going to do is, you guys can go follow Crouton Ramon, and the Ben H. Rogers account, Panasonic, is going to be getting rid of people, but I'm going to get rid of them. No hard feelings. And people get so upset when you unfriend them. Right? And I haven't unfriended anybody recently. For a little while there, I was trying to get rid of some of those guys that I accidentally friended, and they fucking DM me and were like, "Oh, I didn't do anything." I'm like, "You're right. I didn't. I just don't know who you are. We've never met in person. I've never been to your house. You've never been to my house. I don't know what your breath smells like. I don't know what kind of cologne you wear, because I've never been next to you." Okay, except for on the internets. All right, so I'm going to have that one account that knows actual humans, and I'm going to have that other account, Crouton Ramon. Crouton Ramon will know anybody. He will accept friend requests from anyone, because Crouton Ramon is a fictional creature whose consent is considered to be a record. A living individual, though. Crouton Ramon, the living individual that I made up. Living individual. Those words must mean something other than what I thought they meant. And what it is, in fact, if you understand the meaning of the words, then he is, in fact, a living individual, because it's a going concern. It's an actual business. And very shortly here, he's going to get an EIN number, I believe, 98 EIN, because it's going to be foreign, because it's not a resident, it's not part of the corporation. And but it's going to be allowed to do business with the corporation. See, we've got to remain cordial. We have to do commerce, right? So total fraudster and so forth. Now that I know he's a total fraudster, well, then it's on me, isn't it? So I'm not going to sign anything that gives him anything that thinks that he has any kind of plenary power over me, because that was my bad. Because for 57 years, I thought that the name of the thing and the thing named were the same thing. And it turns out they're not. I've explained this 5 ways from Sunday. Now there's stuff you need to do in order to, and see, for $100, you can send to my youngest son, and he will show you and tell you word for word the letter that he wrote, because he made numerous copies, and then he was copying it over and over again, and then make one mistake or make one. There was one where he's so pissed off because his handwritten needs to be given by your hand, not typed, not cut and pasted from Anapon fucking Rights or from David Straight. David Lester Straight is a dead motherfucker right now. You know why he dead? Because he got the cancer and he died. I thought that was a rumor, but it turns out no. David was wrong but true in a lot of things, and he led a lot of people astray. But anyway, motherfucker dead now. So the idea though is that you don't want to put it in where you print it out and then just sign your name at the bottom. Write the whole thing with your hand, because that's proof of the living man. A document, that's not, right? Okay, so he'll tell you what he put. Because like I said, he got to the bottom of one and then he fucked up and he's like, God. So he just like, screwed it. I'll just write it over again. So anyway, he basically has a handwritten copy of what he sent in. Because he didn't make copies. I told them to, and they didn't do it. But anyway, they should have made copies of all the documents before they took them in there to get it signed, but they didn't do it. And then they would have been able to just make a little PDF and send it to you. This is exactly right the copy that I sent in there. But anyway, for $100, he'll tell you how to fill it out. And what will he be doing? He'll be telling you what I told him, because I was coaching them on the phone how to fill the thing out before they went in there and what to put in their letters. In fact, here's a draft right here. This is page 1. And let's see, shall I read it? I am JM, that's my son, of Ben Hosea. That would be me. I declare that I am American citizen, born alive. Anyway, the letter here, handwritten. All right, I told him what to write, and he embellished it. And there's one thing I will tell you that he didn't put in his letter, and the phrase or sentence somewhere in there should say, I am not a heathen. It doesn't matter. They believe. Okay. I don't believe. I know. There's a difference. And what I know is not what a lot of people believe. Here's what I know. No father who loves his son would put his son in a situation where he would be tortured to death on purpose. Get the fuck out. Those are the carnal, bloody ones. No entity. And again, that entity is not fallible. Didn't make a mistake. Never stuck a person, a man or a woman, in the wrong body, ever. See, you forgot all your agreements when you got here. And that's part of the deal. And now they've set themselves back tremendously. They will not be progressing by cutting body parts off and claiming that the creator made errors and that a man was, or a woman was going to fix those errors with a scalpel or poison or chemicals. No. Again, that's painful and ridiculous. And I'm the crazy one. When I talk about my sons, I told them that I would support them. I don't care. You want to be a Chinese acrobat? Don't give a shit. You want to be a fireman? You want to be in radio? You want to be in whatever it is. You want to go into business engineering? You want to, right? I will support you 100%. I don't give a shit. You want to be a musician? Fine. Whatever. You want to be a military man? No support from me. You want to be a policeman? No support from me. Don't be a joiner, kid. Grandma told me the same. Now that doesn't mean that you get crazy, because a lot of these people are crazy, and they want to be left alone to the point where they think they can do it all by themselves. No, you need community. We're humans, and we do much better when there's a lot of us gathered in one place. It's easier for everybody involved when we get a lot of it. We call those things cities or towns, but that's the whole point of gathering together and common defense. I don't have to make sure that every single crop, right? Okay, maybe you have chickens and I have goats and cows, or maybe I have goats and cows and chickens, but you have excess eggs, and I need some extra eggs because I only have a few chickens. Anyway, and we could do business that way, right? Where we trade back and forth. Or maybe you have fruit or vegetables, or maybe you have, right? Okay, so I don't grow the same fruits and vegetables you do. Maybe I grow fruits and vegetables that I like a lot, and you only want occasionally. So if I have surplus, I can give it to you, and then you can trade me for some, right? Okay, barter. Oh God, they hate that. Or we can use the most, favorable commodity where everybody agrees what one. But see, right now we can't even agree on what one of these is worth. Right now, they're trying to tell you that this isn't even worth $2.50 for one of these things, and you need 14 of them to make an ounce. Okay, because we don't have a free market, so we don't know what anything's worth. We do know that if you have a coin half this size, let's take a look at that. Okay, because these are dimes, but still, if you know something about the metals, a gold coin would be weigh just as much, but it would be half the size. And for that coin that's half the size and weighs just as much, you now need 100. Where's the camera? You need 100 of those for that one coin that's half the size. So you get 100 of these. In other words, 10 bags like this, because these are 10 dimes right here, for a little tiny piece of gold. And if I had an ounce, I'd need 100 ounces. This only happens once in a blue moon. This happens not often at all. In our lifetimes, there's been the gold-silver ratio above 100 a couple of times now. But you'll notice that it doesn't stay there for long. And again, I think it was Mike Maloney that said that in the last 2,000 years, it's only been 100 or above for a few weeks. Now would be a good time. If you have gold, you probably can get at least 90 of these for every one of the gold that you have. Might be a good time to make the trade, because then when it goes back to a more sane relationship, then you take your silver and trade it for gold, but you get a whole lot more gold because the silver should have come up in price, because the gold is not going to go down in price. There's a chance that it happens, because according to Bix Weir, there's another guy. There's a guy that's like wrong 99.9% of the time. I mean, there's another one, wrong but true. He was talking about theta being 300. He was talking about silver being 600 and all this other stuff. Okay. He is eventually going to be right, but he was just like super, super early. And you could have used the money and done a whole bunch of stuff rather than having it stuck in silver. In fact, if I would have taken way back in 2000, that I've been right when it first came out, like 2009, 2010, had I taken, I was buying silver back then, because, silver's been going to blow up since forever, right? I know guys back in the 80s, when I was in college in the 80s, there were guys collecting silver, thinking that it was super undervalued. And guess what? Yeah, the silver that they got there was less than $4 an ounce back then in the 80s. I bought a bunch of silver, and then I went to go visit a girl in Canada, and that didn't work out. But anyway, I traded in a lot of my silver. But that silver I had bought for around $5, actually less than $5, because it was $50 to get 10 ounces shipped to my door. Anyway, I traded that silver in, I think it was around $20 or something like that. So I was feeling pretty happy, because I took my money and increased it 4 times. And anyway, bought plane tickets and went to Canada, and that didn't work out. But I had 2 little boys that were wanting me to see if I could get a little sister or a little brother for them, and she was a candidate. And you can't find out yay or nay. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to sit on the internet and chance it. I want to be, and you want to meet them first. I've known some people who actually worked out okay. The foreign bride thing. But overall, that's not common. So anyway, I wanted to go, and she was in Canada and didn't want to come to Hawaii because she had just been in Hawaii. So I went up to Canada, and let's just say it didn't work out. But the long story short is I did that on silver. And the silver so my labor, again, I was making at that time, I think $25 an hour tutoring was the going rate. Everybody else was charging like $50, and I was charging $25 because I was doing it for the fun of it. I would have done it for free, but don't tell them that. But anyway, the idea is that, and I was book solid. I had a unlisted phone number. Back then I actually had a phone, but it was unlisted. Remember, because there used to be the time when you could get a book and everybody's number was in there, and you have to pay extra money to not be in there. Anyway, my number was unlisted, and I still had a waiting list because my number got out. And I was working 5-6 hours a day every day, and I took a lot of that and turned it into silver. Okay, so now when I turn around and sell it for $20 an ounce, I might have even got I don't remember the round numbers, but the idea being is that suddenly it's like that labor was $100 an hour. So I worked a whole lot less hours. You know where I'm going with this, to get plane tickets and so on. And then when I got there, I didn't have a hotel because I stayed with her. And like I said, within a few days, it was like, wow, okay. Anyway, within 2 weeks, it was time to come home, and I came home single. And my boys were very upset because no sister or brother from that woman. Anyhow, the idea is that you take your money and convert it into this stuff, and it won't be long. I can't really do the math because it's all nebulous and bullshit, so it's almost impossible to make the calculations. But according to my calculations, this is probably going 5 digits when counted in the pieces of paper that we call Federal Reserve notes before this whole thing is over. And then it's going to go to this thing where it's unobtainium. Like, nobody will, if you have a huge pile, no one will so much as give you one of these. Right? It will go no bid. It will become unobtainium. No one will part with their silver for pieces of paper. They might part with their silver for a car or a cow or a piece of land or some kind of tangible asset, but they're not going to trade you for paper. That day's coming, and that day has been. This is not going to be the first time that this has happened. So prepare. And again, I'm pretty sure the transition is going to be a whole lot. Remember when they were just fear porn? Oh, there's going to be cities burning down, and there's going to be all kind of crazy stuff, and they're not going to have an election, and blah 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 blah. Fear porn. Things are going a whole lot smoother now. There are lots of paid protests because they still have lots of slush money, but a lot of that slush money is being cut. But nobody's going to jail because they don't put each other in jail. They put us in jail. They don't put them. The 300 families that just went, nah, we're not doing that whole United States corporation thing. Fuck you guys. We're not part of that. Okay. See, they get away with that. When you and I try to say, I don't want to be part of that U.S. corporation, they're like, fuck you, slave. We got paperwork that says, right? And you have to be clever enough to say, fraud. There's no contract if the one side was being defrauded. There's no contract if the one side was unaware of what the signature meant. It's like my son was unaware that when he signed the paper to get a state ID, they automatically signed him up to register to vote. Even though he said, Dad, do you think I'm fucking stupid? Give me some fucking credit. When I filled out the form, I specifically checked the box that said, no, I do not want to register to vote. Fuck you, to register them anyway. So now you got to write a piece of paper. And I said, did you take a picture of the thing before you did? Nope. All right. See, you got to document everything because they're fucking liars. They are not honorable. They're pirates. And they've codified their piracy. That's called the United States Code. And that code allows them to rip you the fuck off anytime they want. Take your fucking kids from you if they want to. Sell them into fucking slavery. Oh, we lost them. We don't know what happened though. 1,000 of those right here in Phoenix. CPS just lost the child. That's going to come out, that your government was involved in the most peculiar of institutions. But the idea is the fucking pirates codified everything. They put black dresses on and drag you in to the Lex Mercata, the merchant's tent, under 100% false pretenses, but they got these and guys that if you give them a little money, they'll fucking kill you. Am I lying? Am I being a radical? Or am I just telling you the fucking state of affairs that's going on in the United States corporation that has taken over the North American continent from the Americans that were here? See, but we had made some agreements that they were supposed to, this fucking government of theirs, this United States corporation, was supposed to uphold my unalienable rights. You know, my ability to defend myself with an arm that I don't wave just because I'm traveling. The ability to speak freely, which I don't waive just because I'm fucking using your technology. This technology is being from where I am right now. I am Arizona state, not state of Arizona, but the state of Arizona. This is their operating territory. Okay, state of Arizona doesn't like you telling them that you're in Arizona state. They don't like that. Don't do it. Well, actually do it, but there's a way to do it. Okay. This aw, I don't know if you can hear him, but that's the kitty eating up the last of his foods. And then he's going to come over and say hi. Like, why are you still talking to that device? But anyway, the idea is that these guys, these pirates, they have codified their piracy. They have taken over the North American continent. And the subjects on the land of the North American continent, well, fuck you. We want half your fucking labor between the state of corporation and the federal corporation. There's a few states that don't do that, but overall, they take half your fucking labor. They charge you pretty much. Does your state have a sales tax? Pisses me off in this state. Anytime I buy a thing, even on the internet, Amazon makes sure to collect the tax, 8 and something % to the governor. They didn't earn any of that. I go buy gas. Go look how much gas is taxed, especially in Hawaii. In Arizona, it's actually pretty low. Because as soon as you cross the border, because I drive from Phoenix to LA occasionally, or Phoenix to San Diego occasionally, as soon as you cross the border, the gas is way higher in California. Why? Because of tax. It's the same fucking gas. This gas station and this gas station, it was the same fucking truck that delivered the gas to this station and this station. But one, it costs a whole lot more because Californians just love it. They love it. They love to bend over. They so love it. They love it. And they can't figure out why the rest of us despise them now. Anyway, no, Daddy, please, fuck me harder. And then the ones that didn't like it, they didn't stay. They won't fight, and they won't stay and fight. They run away. And then they turn Texas into a shithole, and then they turn Arizona into a shithole, and then they turn everywhere they go. Every fucking thing these fucking Democrats touch turns to shit. Look at their cities. Okay. Again, am I lying, or am I just pointing out what you can see with your own eyes? Last time I was in LA, I was shocked. The dystopian society, the people in the 50s would look at us like, what in the fuck are you guys doing? Right? You got work to do. No, man, Trump's going to fix everything. Don't worry, Trump will fix everything. We're going to get our country back. Fucking Nino, he knows. He knows. This is the thing that pisses me off. He fucking knows. But he still toes the line. Because he was the ultimate bread and circus. One of the gladiators in the ring. You think they're going to let one of the gladiators in the ring tell you the truth? Or is he going to toe the party line 3 times a week at least? And then, yeah, he brings on some interesting guests sometimes. But overall, all of them, the quote-unquote alternative media, these motherfuckers are part of United States Corporation. And their job is to make you happy to be part of United States Corporation and to be a U.S. citizen. It was the most important election ever. Now, here's the thing. I will agree that if you didn't take part in the show, they probably would have put in the one who wasn't black and who never held a primary. They just would have snuck her in there because that was the way that they were. But then, the people woke up and went, hell no. So now they're going to use the right hand to get their agenda through. There's a great video, and it is a YouTube video, so I can link that because it doesn't take you off the site, where Catherine Austin Fitts basically tells you in no uncertain terms that they're building you a digital cage. And you're going to take part willingly. Or you can try and avoid some of that with this and use cash. But if you go digital currency, the chances of them being able to just debank you or shut off your card so that now you go into the store or you go into the gas station and decline doesn't work because they just shut it off. And then they want to have a system. Okay, that one's not supposed to be. I'm listening to a thing go over. I don't know if you can hear it or not. But this is not the time for them to be flying. Anyway, something's going on because there's a lot more activity. Let's talk about this for just a second. There's this crazy story about them spraying stuff in the sky. Well, lately here, and I've been going out trying to get some sun, and lay by the pool. There was a time when I just watched them laying down trail after trail, crisscrossing, and then it spreads out, and then it turns into a haze. Sometimes it would actually get cloudy, but a lot of times it would just turn into this white grayish haze to block out the sun. That's all gone. No more. I haven't seen one for the longest time. Recently, I saw one, and it was a little cloudy. We had a front move in, and off in the distance, where am I? It was over there. So let's see here. The way I'm oriented right now, let's see. That's north, that's south, right? That's west, and that's east. Okay, so off. Here he comes. Did I tell you he was going to come? Yes, he did, because he was eating his food. And now it's like, why are you talking to these guys? Anyway, off in the distance, way that way, there was one trail. That's it. But there used to be where it was just crisscrossing and so forth all over the place. Okay, that seems to have stopped recently. But again, people that couldn't figure out that wasn't natural, couldn't figure out it was safe and effective, believed the story about what is it? Civil War, no Civil War. Civil War, no Civil War. And he was chosen by God Almighty to lead the United States Corporation. And any fucking buddy that says anything else is a crazy person. So says Sean of SGT. That's just beyond the pale. I can't believe you would think that they would put something on like that. Bitch, did you ever get a fucking close-up of his ear? Mr. 107, did you give us a picture of his fucking ear? Nino, have you seen a fucking picture of his ear? Rice, have you seen a fucking picture of his fucking ear? No, you haven't. Now, once you get that through your heads, that it's a bit of a show, you're seeing actors in scripted events, and that makes a great story. He was chosen by God. It was to God. Right? How you fucking argue with that? He was chosen by God. You fucking heathen. What are you, some kind of fucking liberal Democrat? You don't believe our story? You must be one of them. Fucking communist. You don't believe in killing babies in Palestine. Bastard. Get the fuck out of our country. You shouldn't be allowed to make videos. You shouldn't be allowed to speak freely. See, I don't give a fuck anymore. I live among people who love to pretend. They love to pretend they're brave when they're actually fucking cowards. They love to pretend they're educated when they're fucking ignorant as ignorant can be. They like to believe in reality when clearly they are dancing in illusion. And guys like me that want a 5-star passport won't want. Guys like me, anyway, that have sons that have 5-star passports. My stat, there are some decisions to make. Let's put it that way. But the idea is the generational curse, the peculiar institution ended with me. And see, that's why they tried to scare me back in the pen. Because forevermore, all my fucking descendants from here on out are going to hear from Grandpa, assuming that I'm around by the time they show up. The way things are going, it's going to be a while. But Grandpa will tell you that no, it wasn't safe and effective, and no, it wasn't fucking 12 guys with box cutters, and no, there weren't any weapons. Well, there were, but we didn't find any. On and on. Yeah, the crazy ones. We used to give each other chicken pox. Yeah. But the fact that that guy, no, just no, straight up no. Even when I saw that, I was like, right? And then they try to say, they only televised one event because, it was a conspiracy. Yeah, it was, but not what they're trying to fucking tell you. They wanted to make sure that got everywhere. Fight. I've been chosen by God. Look, they missed. Fucking dummies. And they're so smug and arrogant about it, just like the guys that did this and you're gonna go, you don't do this. You're a fucking lunatic if you don't believe us when we tell you that that it clipped his ear. We're not going to go there. But I do have a couple of friends that may have been involved in combat. I missed that. I was actually almost shed tears earlier today because I missed that guy, fucking Vaughn. He was a math teacher. He was okay. Vaughn did to me what I did to a guy named Jerry Mortensen. He fucking invited me over to house and made me teach him math. But in return, Mormon, cornbread and home cooked meals, his wife. Vaughn had been to Vietnam. You could tell by looking in Vaughn's eyes that Vaughn had killed men. Vaughn is no longer with us. Anyway, and Vaughn didn't push buttons to kill men. He saw the men that he killed. And he came home. But he came home with a changed attitude. And like me, he got really upset when people were harming children, particularly American children. But anyway, I have more than a few friends like that who have been in situations where and when they go by, they're going past the speed of sound, and it will make that noise when he's not even deaf. No complaints about hearing loss, nothing. Considering the fucking thing's supposed to clip his ear. Right? So I've gotten to the point, I listen with a grain of salt because it's a show. You're watching a fucking show. And they've got now multimedia to purvey the show to you. And depending on where they are. USS Liberty. Let me say it again. USS Liberty. Any fucking tiny hat that says that that's conspiracy theory. What's that little fucking beanie-headed son of a bitch? God damn it, I can see his face. That ain't conspiracy theory. Oh, and there's another guy named Ben, but his last name starts with an S. That ain't conspiracy theory. I have fucking met guys off the USS Liberty. So, like I said, you're watching a show. And see, look at the pyramids. There's stuff underneath the pyramids, because they just let you know who it was that was most responsible for the guy getting shot in broad daylight in Dallas. But they're our best friends. We should give them $50 billion fucking dollars every year. And I told you, the military industrial complex, yes, they extort $50 billion from the corporation every year in the name of war. Now, if you're going to have war, you got to have an enemy. You can't fight the good guys. You can't just fight the babies and women. There's got to be some men in the way. And then these guys with brass on their shoulders will get up there smugly and tell you, "Oh yeah, we got the bad guy. Well, there was some collateral damage. We killed babies and women. How many babies and women did you kill? We're not even fucking keeping track. But we got the one bad guy." I don't want any fucking thing to do with that corporation or men that think like that, or women that think like that. If you're a woman and you fuck men like that, fuck you. Anyway, the bottom line is I want nothing to do with that corporation. I'm an American. I was born on the soil called America. The particular place I was born, if you want to scope it down, it was in a state called Illinois, right? Illinois state. I wasn't born in a corporation. How could I be? It's a fiction. So I wasn't born in state of Illinois. State of Illinois has an operating territory that the hospital that I was born in, and by the way, the only member of my family that was born in a hospital, everybody, my sons, right? None of them, my grandchildren, none of them will be born in a hospital. And going back the other way, on my mother's side and my father's side, nobody was rich enough to be born in a hospital. Because what? This is another thing they don't want you hearing from this generation that's about to be gone. No fucking buddy was born in a hospital. You were born at home. You were born in your house. You didn't go hospital. Now everybody goes hospital. In fact, you wouldn't want to do something as dangerous as childbirth. Are you hearing this now? Oh, a lot of the women that did this are dying during childbirth. How come? They're bleeding out. Death during childbirth is becoming a thing again. Anyway, you wouldn't want to have a scary birth like that. There's a fucking, 8 billion of us? There are people that say that's conspiracy theory and that's just a story that they tell us and maybe there's only one, but whatever. There's at least a billion of us. There's billions of us. And most of them never saw the inside of a hospital. And again, in my family, from multiple 1930 was when my mother was born, not in a hospital, at home, on the river, in Illinois. Was she born in Iowa? I don't remember. Anyway, she was either born in Illinois or Iowa, because they had farmland. Because my mom's side, there's immigrants, and see, they were going to go to California where you could get gold you could just take a claim and take gold out of the ground. And so they came for that, and they got as far as the Miss Sen said, fuck it. Because you got to remember, this back even just 50 years before my mother was born, wasn't no super highways, wasn't no 4-lane highways. It was a bit of a ordeal. You had to take trains, you had to get from New York to Chicago, and then from Chicago, they were traveling. And anyway, they said, fuck it, we'll stop here, and we'll buy all this land. See, these were people of means. So the idea is they were headed for California, but they never made it. And some of the family kept going, and some of them wound up in Montana and so forth. But anyway, the idea is that these were Americans, and these were people that didn't get born in hospitals. These were farmers. They delivered cows, they delivered horses, they delivered goats, they delivered babies. Human babies. No big thing. But now they've got you telling the story that, oh, you could die, which is actually sort of kind of true. But if you're doing all the things right, my firstborn, that was a little touch and go, but I figured out why it was a little touch and go. And I gave her supplements. I gave her pignogenol and a few other things to strengthen the arteries, because she almost bled out on the first one. And this was long before any of this other stuff happened. But anyway, the second one, once we had that handled, and then huge amounts of vitamin C, because she was a bit of a drinker. When I met her, she had like the dark circles from kidney stress, just from partying too much. Anyway, the idea is that the second one, 10 minutes from water bag break to holding my son in my hands. No big deal. It was easy. I could show you pictures, but my wallet is not here, is it? No, it is not. It's way over there, and I'm not going to go get it. Anyway, anticlimactic is what she said, because it was so smooth. Right? 10 minutes, water bag breaks, wah, got a baby. And it was totally settled. We made him cry on purpose too, because he was a water baby born in water, and left the whole thing, placenta and umbilical cord attached, and then brought him up out of the water, and he cried a little bit, just a very little bit, like, it's cold out here, and then warmed him back up again. Everything was fine. The other one wouldn't cry. The other one tried to check out, so I had to make him cry. And then once he cried, he was committed. And he's been here ever since. And now he's sitting in a monastery. Actually, both of them sitting in a monastery in Thailand. And letting other people know that, hey, ever seen a 5-star passport? You know what it means? Lots of Americans are like, I thought that was conspiracy theory. But it turns out not. My point was that going back all these generations, nobody born in a hospital, nobody, right? Okay, mom didn't have a birth certificate because they didn't fucking have birth certificates in 1930. My dad didn't have a birth certificate because they didn't have birth certificates when he was born. My grandmother didn't have a birth certificate because they didn't fucking have birth certificates when she was born. I have a birth certificate because they instituted that after 1933, and I came in a bunch years later, 31 years later, or actually 34 years later from when my mom was born, or 31 years from when 33 happened, when they started making the pledgelings. That's us. We're pledgelings. They own us due to that piece of paper that somebody signed as an informant. They trick your mommy. Okay, they tricked the mother of my children. They didn't trick me because I wouldn't sign that thing, and I told her not to. But, you can't survive in this world without getting the numbers and the certificate, right? You want to evidence the fraud, don't you? You want to participate in the fraud, don't you? Otherwise, you can't live in this society of make-believe, fraud, and pretend, where the head dude tells you that he was chosen by God and he had a religious experience that changed. He's a fucking billionaire and part of the Billionaire Boy Club. Sorry. Their goals and aspirations are not the same as ours. And you can't identify at all because the stuff that he takes for granted, you don't even know. If you think he doesn't know about the elder gods and those that still worship them, you a fool. Because we have a different class of people, and they believe that they have the right to rule us. See, they don't give a fuck if you choose D or R, as long as you choose to be ruled. And they'll make up every fucking story to get you to believe. See, and anyway. So you got to wake up and do some paperwork. Or not. Some people like being slaves. In fact, most people like being slaves. And you'll find that out. You found that out 4 years ago, much to your chagrin. And this is the thing. Jab Daddy and his Jabby Juice working in concert with these other guys for full spectrum dominance over this thing. And like I said, before I totally went off on tangents and got a little annoyed, we have no defense against the signals. We can look away from the light and sound that comes through here, or we can look at it with new eyes. Oh man, go back and look at some MTV videos, music videos. Holy shit. From back in the 80s, because I remember when MTV first came out in, 1982, 83. I remember sitting in college, just watch. You had to have cable. But I remember going over to my friend's house and we fucking watched MTV because it was just music video after music video. It was like listening to the radio with pictures. Anyhow, they put a lot of notice A lot of notice. But at the time, it was just entertainment, right? And the Kings and Satan's service. Oh wait, that's more nonsense. But really, the black and white. Do you see the Masonic? Right? And see, here's what we think that the bad guys don't sing. We think the bad guys don't make music. They make music. The head dude, the guy that's even beyond the Baphomet, yeah, quite the bard. Well known in Southland for being able to play the fiddle. Anyway, but the idea is, they use music. They use frequency and vibration to control this. See, this is the other thing that we do that makes them crazy. And this was even in the Matrix. We dance. But I don't trust one generation that doesn't dance. We got this generation, they won't go out. It costs too much money to go out and go dancing. We'd rather just fuck using Tinder. Because it's too much effort to go to a nightclub. Although there are some pretty cool nightclubs around here. And my next door neighbor, who is the ultimate girl next door, I love her. I hardly ever know she's home, except for when her dog barks, and she has 2 dogs. And that's the thing here, dog culture. I love the dog culture. So anyway, she's a doggy girl. She's very, she just looks like an American girl, just all American girl. But then one night I saw her all got, she had the makeup on. I've never seen her in makeup. She had the hair done. She had the cute, sexy black dress. She had the heels and hose. And I was like, holy shit, that's my neighbor. Didn't even recognize her. My grandma would say, that girl cleaned up well. She cleaned up really well. Okay. She was obviously, I'm just going out for some drinks. And apparently there's quite a bit of nightlife here in Phoenix. But anyway, the point being is, you go out and you dance and you have fun. And they make music now. What did they do with the music? Well, they got the slaves to look like slaves. That was one of the things that they did, because they got the Seattle grunge thing going. And now it's cool to walk around in ripped up clothing. See, when I was a young man, you didn't wear jeans that had rips in them, except for maybe if you were working or something, or maybe working on the car or doing labor or something like that, where you didn't care. But you certainly wouldn't go out in public. You wouldn't go to the mall. You wouldn't go to the grocery store. In fact, I'm so old, I remember when you got dressed up to go to the fucking grocery store. You didn't just show up and, right? You took a bath and mom combed your hair and you fucking put a nice shirt on and a pair of pants and shoes. And then you went to the grocery just to go fucking shopping. They killed that in our society. We used to be the envy of the world. Go look at what people look like, including black people, including minorities in the 1950s and early 1960s. And what did they do? With music, the flower power generation, with music, rock and roll generation, right, with music. Got a hold of this, got you to dress a certain way, got you to talk a certain way, got you to, right? And that's another thing they do. The new generation, they've got their own quote unquote language. It's still English, but they use all kind of, right, cap and all these other things. I can't think of their colloquialisms. Our colloquialisms are different. The generation before that, being square, because there used to be a time when if you were square, that was a good thing. A square is equal on all 4 sides, and you would be square. I loaned some money, or maybe I did something where we're not square anymore, and I needed to come over there and make things square. I had some friends, sons. I invited them to a party, and they totally made ass. That's a long story, but they made ass. And so I made them go over. I went to, father and I are good. Anyway, went over to the sons and I said, you need to go over to that house and either mow the lawn, do some laundry, take care, do something, clean up, because you're not square. You need to square up. Right? You went to a party and you made ass and you did things that, right, and you need to take care because you want to set things straight, square. Okay. Then they turn square into a bad. You're a square. Yeah. Fair dealings. You're square. Yeah, I don't drink. Yeah, you're square. Come on, everybody's doing it. Music. And now music and full spectrum dominance. They use EMF radiation and those purple streetlights. All you see is purple. That's a very specific frequency for us to be able to see purple. I just saw recently some more crazy talk where they have this device that I could buy, and I'm thinking about buying it because I like to do woodwork. And what it is basically a laser, and it has a little beam about that wide, and you shoot it on the and it takes off the varnish and takes it just a little layer to get it set. Takes off a layer of varnish and leaves without sanding the raw wood underneath. Also good on metals and so forth for taking off paint and so on. When you're using it, you can't see the beam. It doesn't look like, but you can see the result down here, Lahaina. You can see the result down here, Pacific Palisades. You can see the result down here when you're taking the paint off, Malibu. When you're using the thing, you can't see the thing, but it takes the paint right off. Greece, Italy. That's conspiracy theory. You know how I know conspiracy theory? Yeah. Maybe you wake up, maybe you don't. The one thing I'm going to say again and again, he's repeating himself. Yes, I am. Get some. This is a great time. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You got 3 days. Well, actually, you got 2 days, tomorrow and the next day, to motor your butt over to a coin shop. They've got plenty of them. If you can get dimes, great. Don't buy collectibles. What you want, max silver, min money. And try and get coin. Is great. There's a coin shop here where they've got a gun, they got all their stuff so they can tell if it's real silver, because apparently they've been ripped off before. I was talking to the guy, it was great. Long conversation. And I bought in some silver for him. And then the price he was going to give me, I'm like, no, no, because I believe at that time it was $35 an ounce, and he was going to give me 28. And I'm just like, no deal. Simple as that. Nope. That's not right. And then I turned around. Well, I didn't. My girlfriend, because we have eBay, and eBay is all fucked up now. It used to be back in my day. You sell something on eBay, they put it on your PayPal card, and done. Right. And then you use the money to ship it. Nope. Now they've got all kind of hoops you got to jump through, and they don't deal with PayPal, and my accounts are closed because I'm not going to go get other credit cards. Because apparently eBay doesn't deal with PayPal credit anymore, even though PayPal is being used. Anyway, it's a fucked up situation. But anyway, she put a silver bar on eBay just to see, and nothing. And then all of a sudden, boom, for $350, it sold 10 ounces. I didn't sell a lot of that at that price because that's still way too low. But at the same time, it's still probably 7 times more than what I bought the bar for, because I'm sure I bought that 10-ounce bar for like $50, and then I turned around and sold it for $350. That's a pretty good. That's a $300 gain. But it's not as good as like a $600 gain or a $900 gain or a $1,000 gain. But anyway, you can go down there and don't be selling, be buying. Because I've been buying since the freaking 90s. Actually, that's not true. I've been buying since, oh shit, that is true. Anyway, but just a very little bit. And then I bought a whole bunch more because if you remember back in, I think it was 2005 or so, they were saying it was going to rocket and it was going to go and so forth. And it went from like, I don't know, $4 or something to almost $5. But I bought a lot of silver back in the day, and I wish I would have kept it. For $5, $50. Actually, that's not true. Less than $5 because, like I said, 10 ounces shipped to my door for $50 even. And I remember I was doing that as much as I could back then because I realized that was a hell of a deal. Wait a minute, I could turn in 2 20s and a 10 and get 10 big old silver ounces. See, and this is the other thing. You might want to get these guys. because there's no money in forgery in these. These are brilliant uncirculated, just for fun. But you don't need brilliant uncirculated. Just maximum amount, because you're going to pay extra because they're brilliant uncirculated. So maximum amount of silver for minimum price. Do I have that? Yeah, see, you want this stuff. This is quote unquote junk silver. And I think there's a quarter in here, so that one's worth like $6, and you can see it's all beat up. And then this one's all right. They're not as shiny. But see, in coins this size, right now there's no money in it because an ounce of this stuff is worth $30. So it would take you more than to just make the tap and do all the stuff to make this thing right here. Too much money. No money in it. When it goes to $1,000 an ounce, yeah, there's going to be counterfeit, all kind of stuff. But anyway, the point was that coin shop, they had all kind of stuff where they could check it. And I was like, yeah, I know it's solid because this was long before it even got to $30. And the guy's like, how old are you? And when I told him, he's like, no, yeah. Way. The idea is that it's only going to be a little while longer like this. So this weekend would be a really good weekend. That's fine. And also, pink moon. It's the pink moon. And then after the pink moon comes the Feast of Ishtar. And then the day before the Feast of Ishtar is El's Baphomet extravaganza. The Baphomet bonanza happens, and they need much sacrifice because they feel, and you can feel it, and I can feel it, like they're losing. So what they want to do is sacrifice because it's always worked in the past. So they need lots of sacrifice. And you guys, or me guys, or I don't know, bread and wine. Yeah. Because that's what they do is bread and wine. And there's all kind of churches around here. I may actually show up in a church or two just to see for Easter Sunday. Will you cut it out? Oh my goodness. You're about to be in church. Pardon me. Oh my goodness. All right, we'll let him go. He's trying to get me to play with him. And he's got one of his toys and he's actually throwing it in the air. Anyway, he's got a bit of a personality. And you know what? When his personality changed and when he turned into like a cool cat and all kind of stuff. And see, look, now he's over here chasing around one of his toys. Oh, man. Nobody will play with me, so I have to play all by myself. He's trying to make me feel guilty. Drop a day. Oops, where'd it go? Yeah. One drop a day of this absolutely changed that cat. I'm telling you. My girlfriend will tell you the same. Anyway, this weekend, get you some silver at this price. Next weekend should be interesting. And did you notice too? We do the whole thing where it's going to be eggs and chocolate and all kind of stuff. And like I said, bread and wine. They do similar with their feast, but it's not wine and it's not bread. It's the things that you know that the wine and bread are supposed to represent. They're not representing. That's what they use because that's their religion that they want to practice freely. So they codified their religion so that they could practice it freely. And people sometimes will notice when they find out that nobody gives a rip when certain people go missing. Like, yeah, we'll take the report, but they don't do anything. They don't investigate. They don't try to, right? Because you can find, if you take a closer look, you might find out who the Blue Lodge reports to. Anyway, I've gone on long enough. Holy crap. It's actually way too long. I'm going on 3 hours again. I didn't mean to do that. This was going to be a short one because I'm actually kind of tired because I stayed up too late last night. And oh, wow. Is it really? See, because I've got this one set to Hawaii time. So I'm thinking it's early, but it's not early. It's late at night. It's past midnight. It's time to go to bed. All right. Thanks for listening, Crime Stubbers. Hope you had a fun time. For the guys that, wow, only 6 people watching, but 9 likes. Thanks for all the likes. I don't really have any other announcements. I was thinking that I need some marketers because I got my website and it's looking pretty good and so forth. And if you know how to market, here's my income strategy. And what I do is I have a website where I have all kind of free stuff that teaches mathematics, and then I have some stuff that is a oral tradition. Let's put it that way. Mathematics has always been a secret, and I made some commitments wherein I made some commitments, and those commitments were that certain stuff doesn't get in front of the profane without a price, that you don't just give this information freely. So anyway, that information is behind paywalls. I gave a little bit of it away, just because that's my personality, and what are you gonna do about it? Subtraction, really. Anyway, but the paywalls are going to be about $12.99 or $12.49 when I'm done with them. I'm selling it for $500 right now, and I just spent, I don't know, 25, 30 hours building these pages on fractions. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you guys. Go motor on over to Crouton Ramon's House of Math. If you got 6 year, if you've got young children's or anything, or you've got friends and family that are homeschooling, or you know anybody that's got children's, send them over to my website, because right now one page that's behind the paywall is free. If you go there to the fractions page, there'll be a place where you can click enter, and you click enter, and usually you have to put a password in. Right now there's no password, so you can see all these things about ratios, how to make ratios like super simple and easy. If I was at the Cliff House, I'd have a whiteboard behind me and I could show you really quickly, but I don't. So I'm not going to, and I'm not going to draw it on paper. But anyway, you can go to my website. There's that. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff. Because here's the thing. Little childrens, they hate fractions. They hate long division. And usually they hate long divisions first, and then they hate fractions. I'll show you how to make it super easy and fun. Okay. Normally you need a password to see all the hours of instruction. And then understand, I now work for $60 an hour, and I've been working for $60 an hour for quite a while. And even that's cheap, because I have quite a few people that I fucking trained that it's $60 for half an hour. I give you a full hour for $60. Anyhow, that means that every minute of video that you watch on my website, somebody paid $1 a minute for that. And there's many, many, many minutes behind the paywall. In fact, I just put today, I put another 3 hours behind that paywall. So there's another $180, actually probably more than 3 hours. And there was already, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours, right? Because you're not going to learn math in 15 minutes. So there are hour-long presentations where if you had issues with fractions before, you won't after this. Anyway, and that just works out for this weekend also. So instead of having to pay $250 for a password, you can go for free. And see, this is the thing. There's where the marketing comes in. If you know how to market, if you know anything about marketing, there is a huge, and I'm seeing it, huge homeschool community now. Because what happened is, lo que pasó es, we had this thing happen, and a lot of people went, fuck this, I'm taking my kids out. And now we've got all these, see, back in my day, that's another thing. The teachers, they all had children. They were all married. They weren't single nose ring wearing young college girls that don't know their fucking asses from a hole in the ground. And then you let them around your children. Bad idea. So a lot of them have figured out that that's a bad idea, and they pulled them out. You know what the one thing they need help with? Math. Every time. They're all scared of math because mom had a bad experience with math. So anyway, there's this, what that is a huge opportunity, because there's this thing in the corporate culture, the capitalist culture, find the need, fill the need. Well, I filled the need. I show you how to make math fun and easy. And there's a price for that. So anyway, if you know how to market, or if you know somebody that knows how to market, shoot me an email. Or get in, DM, or put a comment under this video or whatever, and we'll get in touch, because I will pay you half. Right? I'm not going to do the 20/80 thing. So if the passwords are $500, you make $250 every time you make a sale. And there's thousands of people to sell to. I'm just being lazy about getting in front of them. But here's the other thing. Most people that see my website and see the system, they want to do it because they see, because their minds are blown at how easy math is. Again, that's what radicalized me back in the day, back in 89 or so. This guy showed me that the math that I had a hard time with, and I'd seen so many others have a hard time with, was actually really, really easy. And so if the math wasn't hard and it turned out that that was a lie, what else are they lying about? And it turns out they're lying about every fucking thing. Anyway, if you know anybody or if you want to get involved, go to my website and check it out. And I will talk to you guys later. 100th monkey. I'm telling you, you need to educate yourself. You need to figure out that you shouldn't get upset the way I get upset. It's of no use. It's of no benefit. But you educate yourself. Then you educate others. And together, we get through all of this, right? You don't want to be left completely alone. Being completely sovereign, that's a pretty lonely place to be, actually. But a bunch of sovereigns together generally can't get along. Just look at the libertarians. But right now, for the most part, what I see is unruly slaves. I don't see sovereigns. I see guys that are trying to get away with stuff. I don't see guys that are trying to make things right. I don't see guys that are trying to bring justice. I see guys that are trying to make revenge. What we want is to make sure that some of the things that have happened don't ever happen again. Justice, not revenge. But see, it turned out it was just us. Because them don't care. Anyway, educate self. Educate others. E pluribus unum, crime stoppers. I will talk to you again soon. It should have been a couple more between now and the last time, but like I said, just the days and weeks are just going by, and TikTok is eating my brain. But some of you might look into TikTok too, because I think there's an opportunity there. I think there's also an opportunity to educate when it comes to this, and the fact that the name of the thing is not the same as the thing named. Yeah, there's a lot of that on TikTok. But I'm going with math and homeschoolers. But you could do all kinds of things there. You might look into it. It's a technology, and it's a technology that can make you wealth. Anyhow, e pluribus unum, and I will talk to you guys later.